questionable.
You have been listening to this.
Former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte is under arrest. He's facing charges of crime.
Next here tonight to our cover story and the summer travel slowdown. For weeks, we've been telling you about how major tourist destinations like New York City and Las Vegas are reporting significant. Next here tonight to our cover story and the summer travel slowdown. For weeks, we've been telling you about how major tourist destinations like New York City and Las Vegas.
This is the best way to...
Pensacola is facing a... Pensacola is facing a steep decline in international visitors this year. In June alone, 18,000 fewer tourists came.
The first of the 10. The idea of living in an authoritarian state, so many people, I believe,
out there are like, well, yeah, it does feel like that now, but you know, it's not going to last. And I sort of feel like that is a problem. Because, like, even if we assume that the
sunshine, beaches, Disney, nightlife. So the state sold its
Katie Turner.
holiday today. So they are literally...
You know, this was still up. Oh, because I didn't add it. All right, let's fix that. We got time. Why not? Let us fix that. Okay, whatever that means. Is it in? We don't need to worry about it there. Is it in the deck? That's all we really need to care about. The other shit, we don't care. I can read your mind. Yeah, that's fine. No problem there. Test 1, 2. Let's bump it up here. No, let's move that. There we go. That's a pretty nice. All right. Let's crank it down just a bit. All right, it's Tuesday, September 23rd, Rapture Day. Looks like we're all still here. Now, let's sigh. I'm not a religious person. I would call myself a agnostic atheist. Not that matters. Just atheist is fine. There's no reason to put the agnostic on there. Because, as we all know, hard atheism is stupid. Hard atheism is as dumb as hard, I don't know, religiosity. What's the word I'm looking for when you're like super religious? Well, the point of this is, why being a devout religious proselytizer and being a hard atheist are both dumb. This isn't me trying to take like the middle of the road fence sitting position. It's because, look, if you are a proselytizing theist, then you are making a knowledge claim. You are making a knowledge claim. At the end of the day, you are saying you know something. If you are a hard atheist and you are declaring there is no deity, there is no gray man in the sky when you die, there is no Allah, no Buddha, no pantheon of Greek, Roman, pagan, Norse, or Hindu gods, well, you are also making a knowledge claim. And if you're making a knowledge claim, that means it's time to show your work. You must show your work if you are making said knowledge claim. If you're not doing that, then you need to shut the F up. Because you don't know what you're talking about. I can tell you, I can believe that I can fly all day. But if I'm telling you without any kind of joking or memeing or anything like that I can fly, I'm telling you I can fly, well, damn it, you better see smoke come out of my ass and I better be taken to the sky with the birds. Because it's time to put up or shut up. And neither of these positions at this current moment can put up or shut up. But it looks like we're all still here. We're all not raptured. And as an atheist, there's an old maxim that says, hey, the quickest way to create an atheist is to sit them down with a religious text and force them to read it. Because once you do, you will see that none of that makes any damn sense. And it's just a Dungeons and Dragons campaign full of plot holes that completely contradict each other. So I don't know anything about no rapture. That is absolutely not in the Bible. That is not in the Bible at all. I don't know none about that. But what I do know, let's see, what does the Bible say about false prophets? No, I want to know what should happen to false prophets. What does the Bible say should happen to false prophets? All right, so this is from gotquestions.com or whatever. It says a false prophet is a person who spreads false teachings or messages while claiming to speak the word of God. In the Bible, false prophets also spoke on behalf of false gods. False prophets function in their prophetic role illegitimately for the purpose of deception. The Bible denounces false prophets for leading people astray. What's the penalty for this is what I'm worried about. Is what I really care about. Let's see. Let's do this a little bit easier. See. So according to everybody's favorite deity now, by all the AI psychosis is proof, ChatGPT tells me the Bible says I learn a little something every day. See, it's cool to learn things and it's cool to be wrong. So the Bible does not explicitly state that all false prophets should be stoned. The punishment varies. In the Old Testament, Deuteronomy 13:10 commands that those who mislead others to follow other gods should be stoned to death. However, texts describe different fates, such as false prophet being put to death in general for speaking lies in God's name, or the ultimate punishment of being thrown into a lake of fire. So, if you are out here on the TikTokies, and again, this is y'all. This is y'all Harry Potter book. This is y'all's fan fiction, right? I got nothing to do with this. I'm just telling you what the book that you say I should build my life around says. It says that if y'all are out here on the TikTokies telling people that they were going to get raptured, you're not going to the good place because you're speaking for the big man. At a minimum, you're not going to the good place. Deuteronomy 13:10 says you should be hit with rocks until you go night-night. That's not me. I didn't say that. That's y'all. It's very Charlie Kirk coded. It's very ironic. I didn't say that we needed a certain amount of gun deaths every year to somehow justify the Second Amendment or whatever foolishness he was talking about. I'm saying he said that, and I'm saying here in New Orleans, we say, get it how you live. He wanted that for other people, but he didn't think that he was going to get it for himself. Same thing with these people out here talking about they're going to be floating up to the sky, leading people down a non-primrose path of lies. The Bible says what should happen to you. I don't think that should happen to you because it's crazy. That's crazy-ish. I'm saying that thing that you want me to waste my time, fooling with, says should happen to you. That's all. That's a beat. That's all, folks. See what else is going on. I had a date. So for everybody who's watching the stream, and I'm sure there's some people who know me, I am married, and my wife and I are polyamorous. I guess I kind of have to come out on the show because totally her idea, by the way, not mine. Absolutely not mine. But I can't say I'm hating it. I'm not hating it at all. I'm reveling in it. It's great. I'm not saying people should even try it. I'm just saying it's just a thing. It's another thing to do. Monogamy, old people sitting on the porch, married for 50, 60 years, got married at 18, they don't know nobody else. Perfect. I love that. I love that for y'all. I'm that serious. I think that's beautiful. But different strokes for different folks, right? Anyway, so that being said, I guess the reason why I have to out myself is because I want to be able to tell interesting stories. Went on a date with a woman the other night. My age, middle age. Gorgeous, tall, stylish, great career. You can tell she's got a little money in her pocket. Super smart lady. I mean, I love talking to her. We argued, like on our first date, we argued in conversations and pushed back. And she was like, listen to me. And I'm like, absolutely. And I was like, well, that's not right. You listen to me. And we got into it and we were like, yeah, arguing isn't fighting. And I'm like, this is my style. Like you are, this is what I'm talking about. Like we can get heated about things, but it's not a personal attack. We're just talking. Like we're just talking and we're trying to just like, if we're disagreeing, we're trying to give the other person the talking points that prove our case. I love that. So it's like, I don't expect this to go anywhere because we are from like completely two different worlds. But we did have a lot in common. I think I could be, she's totally trying to get over a dude. I could be the bad boy mistake. I could be the rebound guy, and I'm totally here for it. But on top of all that, being super smart, accomplished, tall, beautiful, she's also Chinese, from China, right? She goes back and forth from China. She really goes all around the world, but she goes back and forth to her home. She's from Shanghai, and she goes back and forth to her, her birthplace, to all over the world, and to America and whatnot, and where she works here in America. And I think I got over because the way popcorn brick. The way I got over is this. As most people, as I've learned, really it was Red Note that got a lot of us like really into China, right? But I've learned that Chinese people, for the most part, are apolitical. And the world, she's like apolitical. So for her to even talk bad about the United States and like, oh, she's like, my H-1B visa's like in flux and like Donald Trump is destroying your country. And like, it almost felt like she was like kind of not testing me, but she was like embarrassed to talk about politics, but it was just on her mind. I don't think she's ever had to really think about it. Being from China. And I was like, no, I agree with you. I'm like, look, if you go on a second date or third and like we're riding around with my friends to go somewhere, like somebody unironically is going to put on Red Sun in the Sky. Not because you're in the car. It's because it's on their Spotify playlist. Like those are the kind of friends I rock with. And the way where she was like talking bad about America. And I'm like, I completely agree. This country's evil. It needs to be destroyed. Absolutely. Like if America was Thanos snapped away tonight, if America was raptured, the main source of evil, death, and murder would be gone from the world, and not only the world, but from world history. Right? And before you say, oh, what about the Holocaust? I'm like, yeah, the Holocaust is the Holocaust. It was so bad we had to make up a new word for it. That's how bad it was. But then if you start peeling back the layers, like, yes, the Jewish Holocaust was awful. Native American Holocaust was and still is awful. The Middle Passage, which is the Holocaust, awful. What other evils have we done? The way we messed over the Filipino people, the way we messed over pretty much all of the global South, awful. What else are we gonna do? Millions of people died in the Vietnam War. Call that a Holocaust. Vietnam Holocaust. The War of American Aggression. Awful. That's just the things I can just think of on the top of my head that America's done. But I mean, we can scratch that just the slightest and cover much, much more. But the way I grabbed her hand from across the table and I said, look, I looked her in the eye and I said, when you go back, because I know that this job you have, I know it's not your real job. I understand. That's why we're not going to work either, because you're not going to be able to honeypot me. I get it. I understand. You're trying to find targets. I said, when you go back to your real job in China, let them know we've left the back door open. Xi Jinping, please save us. We are ready. Please, if you have to launch the nukes, launch them. We are ready. And the way we both howled and giggled and laughed, and I said, no, but I'm serious. And she said, do you think I'm a spy? And I'm like, you wouldn't tell me if you were. I kind of want you to be one. But that you went on a date with me tells me you're most likely probably not. Because there are higher people in our government, municipal or otherwise, that you could go after than messing with a poor municipal worker. But great lady altogether. And I kind of hope, not for my own like carnal, I mean, that's good too, but I kind of hope we work out, because I would just love to know everything I completely can about China. And I also don't want to slip into that thing of just like, oh, you're the Chinese person, tell me everything about China. You know, it's like, oh, you're black. You're the only black person I know, so tell me everything there is about being black. If you even find somebody that's that curious, because most people aren't even that curious, you know? Which is sad. We have such a short existence on this earth, and we spend it in such a non-curious way. Super sad, right? So I'm announcing it like I'm doing a comedy tour. We'll have shows this week. Tomorrow we'll have 2 shows going. I'll get a stream in. It depends on how I feel here. I'll get a stream here on Twitch. I don't know if it's going to be gaming. I don't know if it's going to be me ranting. It'd probably be just a gaming stream tomorrow, because I have a weekly spot on This Space, which is a YouTube leftist collective, to where we're all content creators and we're streaming. My time is Wednesdays 8 Eastern, so Wednesdays 7 Central, 8 Eastern. So I will be on there doing the Lumin cast thing. You can also catch me occasionally. Jeff and I, we also host the podcast, Good Morning Comrade. You can go to Good Morning Comrade anywhere you can find podcasts. Good Morning Comrade, we're also on Twitch, and we're on Twitch, we really don't count. We're also on TikTok. 2 accounts. If you put in Good Morning Comrade, you'll find 2 accounts. One for Jeff, one for me. Follow both of them. They're both great. Yeah. So without further ado, I don't think I have... Oh, yeah. But this weekend, no streams this weekend. I will be without internet, because I will be in upstate New York. This is real, I'm not making this up. I will be camping across from Camp Crystal Lake, or at least the actual campground and lake where it was filmed. I am not making it up. It's across from Camp Crystal Lake. No, you cannot go there. There is 24-hour security. I'm not joking. If you try to think it's a cute gag that you're going to sneak, and this is from a guy who snuck in places. I snuck into the abandoned Six Flags in New Orleans. I've gone all kinds of places that, urban exploring or whatever, that will give me a trespassing charge. But like, don't play around in Camp Crystal Lake. Not because Jason Voorhees or his mother is going to get you, that you will be arrested and you will be charged with trespassing. So not a cool thing to do. Without further ado, let's get on with the show. Palestine, I don't know if you know this, but you can rest easy. Like John Lennon and Yoko Ono used to say, the war is over. Jimmy Kimmel is back tonight. So everything is right in the world. I have some opinions on this of why it is the absolute dumbest thing of all time. But it matters, and sometimes dumb things matter, and this is one of those things that matters. I'm not saying you should live out and get excited about it. What I'm saying is this does matter, and I'll talk about why it matters. This video right here, let's change decks of the ship. This video that I picked out, let's show with the Metal Gear music. This video that I picked out, I have not pre-watched it. So it's called, where is my thing? Oh no, I can't move. I want to move everything. Come on, guys. Can I just full screen it then?
Is coming back.
There we go.
The air.
So this is from Chris Cizilla. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what his politics are. Let's look at his bookshelf. Looks like some kind of golf foolishness. His baby. I don't know. I'm trying to tell what kind of guy he is by his bookshelf. I can't really see anything. I'm not noticing it. I don't see Mein Kampf. I don't see anything crazy. But he has 4 reasons why Jimmy Kimmel is back on your screen. I do not know this guy's politics. Let's listen to him. Let's hear what he has to say. And we will either give him his attaboys, or his brickbats, or his bouquets, as we say here in New Orleans. And here we go.
Jimmy Kimmel is coming
Why is it so
back
quiet?
on the air Tuesday, September 23rd, basically a week after ABC suspended him indefinitely for comments he made in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. Now, I'm going to tell you why I think Disney/ABC is making this move in a minute, but let me read to you first what they said about it. This is a statement from the company.
I know that's a little quiet, but his video is just a little quiet. I have it absolutely cranked up on the YouTube end, and I have it absolutely cranked up on OBS. So if it's a little quiet, that's why. I'll try to put subtitles on too. One sec. Can you make these things bigger or what?
It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. Now, Kimmel has not said anything about this since he was suspended indefinitely. All right, so I want to break down why I think Kimmel is coming back, and I have 4 main reasons for it. All right, let's go. Reason number 1, money. Always. Don Ohlmeyer, the very famous and really sort of like revolutionary producer at Monday Night Football, the guy who made Monday Night Football a thing, used to say, the answer to all your questions is money. Okay? I think of that every single day when I'm like, oh, I wonder why they did this, or I wonder why ABC brought back Jimmy Kimmel. And the answer is money.
I'm muted. Had to sneeze. So far, so good. I agree with this, but let's see what his take is here.
They made a calculation. Disney/ABC made a calculation. How much will we lose by getting rid of Kimmel forever versus how much will we lose by bringing him back?
Absolutely. No, this guy just stole my whole thunder. I was going to go into a rant, and I'm going to go into that rant right now. It's absolutely. This is not capital. Let me go back. This is important. When I cut to single screen, that's how you know it's important. Capitalism is not amoral. It's not moral either. No, I always screw that up. That's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say is capitalism is not immoral, nor is it moral. It is amoral. It has no morality. When they suspended and were thinking about absolutely canceling, because that's what they were reacting, ABC, the mouse, Disney. When they were like, hey, we got to get this guy off the air, they weren't like, hey, we're mad about what you said about Charlie Kirk. We're mad about the potential money we're going to lose if we don't do this. When they brought him back, they weren't like, hey, that thing we did about the free speech, that was how we like let the Trump administration bully us with the FCC about free speech. That's we at the ABC Disney Corp family are a family, and we stand up. No, that's not why either. It's because of this. I'm getting ahead of myself, but that is okay.
And it's not just about.
And we'll go back to this guy, but that's okay. Why can't I move my window? Oh no. Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Hush. Here's why this happened. I pulled up already. Make it bigger for y'all. Why are we not getting bigger? This is the list of assets owned by the Walt Disney Company. Now, I'm an elder millennial. I'm the oldest young person, right? 44. And what I mean by that is I am not worried about what's on the TV right now, right? I was having this discussion in a Twitch stream today, actually, and we're talking about privacy. It was Cosmopolitics. It was her Twitch stream. She's doing a movie podcast right now, but like, check out Cosmopolitics on the Twitch. She's good people. And I was like, hey, anything that if you canceled Hulu, Disney, Plus, the whole shebang, anything you can get off of there, you can get off piracy, right? You can just pirate it. But here's the thing. I am to the point where people are like, oh, I've got an unlocked, a jailbroken Fire Stick, and like I've got Kodi and 8.0, or I've got whatever piracy program installed on it, and you just got to update it, and then you just do a couple downloads, and then you get all the sports and all the TV and all the movies you want, and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, brother, that is cool and all. And 20 years ago, in my 20s, you best believe I would have been all over that. But my man, what goes across broadcast TV, and I'm talking about the streaming services, not just, TV, that's unbearable. When I stay in a hotel and it's like TV is on, I'm like, please connect my phone as quickly as possible to this so I can get on YouTube Premium, right? But brother, when TV, that is unbearable. And then these streaming services are barely bearable. And it's not even worth it enough. And the stuff at the movies is mostly terrible. I don't want anything to do with it. It is worth more to me. To have my time back so I can do other things and not worry and have to update some jailbroken Fire Stick. The content, what I'm trying to say in short, after that hyperbolic rant, is the content that's being put out is not even worth stealing. I don't want it. But these Gen X's, my parents, these boomers, if the cable goes down, it's like a meteor hit their house, and they don't know how they're going to survive the next 24 hours. Do you understand what I mean? They are treatlerites. They are treat hungry. They don't have a TikTok. They don't have a video game. They damn sure ain't watching Twitch. They're not talking to their Discord friends. They don't have a Steam account. I'm trying to think what else. They don't have Instagram. They don't have any of the other things that, old people like me, millennials even have. They don't have it. They don't have it at all. So, Disney, the mouse, knows this. So, let's take a look at the Walt Disney World portfolio. Let's see. Okay, Disney Enterprises, which is, all of Walt Disney, right? Great, whatever. What is this? TWC, don't care about that. Disney Worldwide, Disney Child Care. D23, ain't no young person paying for that. That if you even know what D23 is, you're a weirdo, which I do. All right, Disney Nature, that's not making anything. Okay, now we're getting to the stuff that's making ish shake. When that new Pixar movie comes out, I want you to put your mind. I want you to put your gray matter. I want you to have empathy for your local Charlie Kirk mourner, who's not really mourning Charlie Kirk. They think this is the way to do the day of the rope on not even leftists, but liberals, because leftists have no power in the United States. They're talking about boring, never going to do anything anyway, liberals. Do you, when the new Pixar movie comes out, you think that those chuds, those InfoWars enjoying, TPUSA pretend to enjoy, you think, Daily Wire subscribers are going to their kid is going to be like, take me to the new Pixar movie? You think they're going to say no because we can't do that because Jimmy Kimmel said something about Charlie Kirk? Marvel, same thing. Mom, Dad, I want to go see no, you can't do that. Well, why? We can't take you to that. Why? Because something Charlie Kirk. What else? Oh, Star Wars, Lucasfilm, everything Lucasfilm does. You think they can walk away from that? No, especially Gen Xers who worship Star Wars for all the wrong reasons. You think they can step away from that? 20th Century Fox, dog? We're not talking about News Corp Fox. We're talking about 20th Century Fox and all the media that they put out. They can't walk away from that. Searchlight Pictures, they can't walk away from that. Again, Buena Vista International is Disney movies. They can't walk away from that. Disney Theatrical, who cares? Disney Music, nobody listens to music and pays for that anymore. It doesn't matter. Oh boy, Hollywood Records, DMG Nashville. Do you think that enjoyers of new country music, that's, everybody has like the last name of Bryant for some reason, you think they're going to be combing through trying to figure out who signed to DMG Nashville or not? No, they're not. They're going to listen to their slop over the radio. At best, these people probably think, and I hate to be ageist, but it is what it is. At best, these people think they think they're living in the future because they have a damn Pandora account still. Get a fucking grip, Grandma. Assets. Okay, Pottermouth Studios, nobody cares. No. ABC. Okay, we're on ABC. Maybe they can avoid ABC. I'll give them that because that's so big and like Kimmel's under that, so maybe somehow they can avoid it. Okay. Walt Disney Studios, home entertainment. These people are still watching DVDs. They're still getting Disney DVDs, Disney streaming. Okay, I'm going to say that they could cancel Disney Plus. I'm going to say they can get away with that. I'm going to say they can cancel. There it is. There it is, son. There it is. That's the crown jewel. You telling me these Gen Xers and these boomers are going to stop watching Monday Night Football? You are out of your fucking mind. Do you understand what I mean? You are out of your fucking mind. It doesn't matter if the Walt Disney, fuck ABC. It doesn't matter if the Walt Disney Corporation changed their name to the Barack Obama Memorial, even though he's not dead, Antifa Corporation. They're watching Monday Night Football, dog. I myself have gotten, I used to love the NFL. I myself, for various reasons, finally I have cut the line, the wire. I'm not betting on the NFL. I'm not watching an NFL game. I'm done with it. If I have the energy, we will get to why that is. But I want you to keep that in your head of how I am 44 years old, first wave millennial, said I was done with the NFL because it is a product, right? These people are not getting away from ESPN or ESPN Plus or ESPN Plus Slop or the UFC or UFC Fuck Night or whatever it's called, because they have no, God, I feel so mean saying this, but you know these people, you know what I'm talking about. They have no hobbies. They have no special interests. They have no personality. They are soulless, lifeless husk, flotsam and jetsam, floating through their own life with no direction. They don't even know what they like. The only things they know that they enjoy are what corporations like the Walt Disney Company tell them that they're allowed to enjoy and pour into them. That's it. They're not getting away from A&E with all the trash on A&E. You think these people are going to stop watching A&E? You think they're going to stop watching all that reality trash? They're not doing that, bro. Crime and investigation. They love this slop. They love this shit. They love two things about this bullshit. They like to watch a black man get beat up by the police, and they like to watch a woman who just couldn't take it anymore and killed her 6 husbands or whatever, right? They love that kind of bullshit. Oh, history? Is that the History Channel? You mean the World War II channel? You mean Grandpa is going to stop watching the World War II channel because of Jimmy Kimmel, dog? You think Grampy's not going to... He's like, I love this Ancient Aliens. I love the soft racism of Ancient Aliens, where it's like, how did the pyramids get built? It couldn't have been by black people in fucking Africa. It had to be aliens. No, dog. He ain't getting away from that. Do I need to say anything more? These latte drinking, pumpkin spice farting, Christian core women plan their whole fall around these shitty Christmas movies. They're not going to stop because of Jimmy Kimmel. So what Disney did here, is there any, I don't think there's going to be anything that hits more than that. You know, they can stop their kids from watching Disney Channel. FX, I mean, I could see that. National Geographic, they don't want to learn anything anyway. ABC News, sure, they stop watching that. They're watching Fox, right? Okay. With that being said, ain't no way, bro. They're not gonna stop watching this shit. But they know if they lose us, people who are marginally tech savvy, people who have in their mind, our culture and our just lifelong learning is not fixated. It's not locked in. We'll just go on. Okay, TikTok is about to become a shithole again. We'll go on Red Note. You see what I'm saying? Like, we're not, and in a way we are better. I'm sorry to say it. It's not a thing that like there's something like they're too old. That's not it. It's that they want to be locked in. They want to be literally conservative, which means they want their worldviews. And what up, Gamester? They want their worldviews, and they want the way they think the world should run, or their nostalgia bullshit. They want it locked in until they die, right? Because they think somehow that's making America great again. Somehow that time period was a utopia when it was actually garbage. We don't think like that. We are constantly in the flow of time. And I think, honestly, it's if you grew up, you didn't have to grow up with the internet. But if you got the internet available to you, at a certain age before like your brain calcified, and that's supposed to be like your brain doesn't develop completely until like your 20s, like 22 or something like that. If you got a hold of the internet and used it wisely, use it to actually like find the answers, not just use it to like, you know, who had not just like on Alta Vista, who's old enough to remember that. You're not on Ask Jeeves typing in big boobs. Like you're actually like, hey, I have a question about how the world works. How does the world work? And you got your answer. And like, you actually are learning things or growing lifelong learning as a person. I think if that was you, and I think that started with like first wave millennials, I think I was right on the cusp of, thank God I'm not one of these people. I think I caught the last train out of Dum-Dumville that for the rest of our life until I'm dead and get burnt back, you know, put in the ground and burnt back into ash, whatever they decide to do with my body, throw it in the Mississippi River, throw it in the Ganges for all I care. I don't care. I'm dead. But until that happens, I think I'm going to be a lifelong learner because like if I was going to be like stuck in my ways, I think that would have happened by now, right? I'm 44. So Disney understands this. And that's why Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air. I want to see what else he has to say.
Is coming back on the air Tuesday, September 23rd, basically a week after ABC suspended him indefinitely for comments he made in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. Now, I'm going to tell you why I think Disney/ABC is making this move in a minute, but let me read to you first what they said about it. This is a statement from the company. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations.
Dr. Gamester just said in the chat, the local ABC station isn't playing him. That makes complete sense. That's completely what I'm saying. Because, yeah, who's watching the local ABC? When is the last time you stayed up, Dr. Gamester, and watched Saturday Night Live or any kind of late night comic? When was the last time you were like, oh boy, Conan O'Brien's on. Oh boy, I couldn't even tell you who's doing NBC. Is that still Jimmy Fallon? No idea. But oh boy. Yeah, exactly. Hell if I know. Exactly. Oh boy, Jimmy Kimmel's on. I should see what. No, we don't give a fuck. You know who gives a fuck about that? Gen Xers and boomers with insomnia. That's who cares. So, of course, it makes sense that the local ABC affiliate's not going to show them. Fine. ABC, yeah, fuck cable o'clock for sure. ABC doesn't care about your local affiliate. They care about the whole thing. Whatever they're going to lose from local affiliates, they're worried about millennials completely leaving the Disney ecosystem. Completely. I'm going to change up my little thing real quick here. Just one sec. I want to test something out. And I'll do that while I'm waiting for this.
Conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. Now, Kimmel has not said anything about this since he was suspended indefinitely. All right, so I want to break down why I think Kimmel is coming back, and I have four main reasons for it. All right, let's go. Reason number one.
Now, Dr. Gamester says, losing Disney adults, oh dear. That's the thing. No, it's not that. They're not going to lose Disney adults. As somebody who is a closeted Disney adult leftist, who used to be anyway, I'm done with the corporation, but I used to enjoy going to the parks. I grew up going to the parks, all that fun stuff. As somebody who did that, I know I was in the minority. Like, people who go to Disney, that Disney understood this, and they've pushed it too far because the economy hasn't kept up with them. But Disney stopped competing with about 5-6 years ago. They stopped competing with Cedar Fair, Six Flags, other like theme parks, right? SeaWorld, the whole bit, and they wanted to compete against Club Med and Sandals. Now, this works as long as there's a strong upper middle class and as long as inflation and the economy keep up with those prices, which they have not. They're learning a hard lesson now. That business strategy isn't going to work. But I can understand why they did it, because the Disney adult, again, going back to, they have no real life. They only have a life that capital allows them to have. They are empty shells that capital just pours into, and then money, they're like piñatas. Capital hits these piñata people and money pours out of them. But now the taps have gone dry. But these people have no other personality than Disney World. These people will spend more money to go to the to say that, you know, they go twice a year, and they had dinner at the whatever the Chinese restaurant is in the China Pavilion. I can't think of the name right now, but to have dinner at the China Pavilion in Epcot, they will literally spend more money than it takes to actually fly their damn family to China and do it for real. They will spend more money there because they are scared of everything. And Disney is this, they talk about it, it's the Disney bubble. It's Disney magic, where they are made to feel like little kings and little queens, and nothing bad is ever going to happen to them there, and they won't have to see a poor person. They won't have to be asked for $1 by a homeless person in Orlando or Anaheim, and everything is just smooth sailing. That's what they want. And even to a degree, that's what I wanted, because my wife and I chose, that was, okay, so we've been married for 7 years, and we went on our honeymoon like a year after we got married. We would save some money, right? This is what it came down to. Our two places we were going to go on our honeymoon: Disney World, or we're going to go to Vietnam. Completely different choices, right? And we were really pulling on Vietnam. But the way that Disney treated you 5-6 years ago is completely different than the nickel and diming that they do now. The way that Disney won us over was, okay, it's going to be about the same price, but, and this doesn't exist anymore. You fly into Orlando, if you're staying on property, which we did, we stayed at Animal Kingdom. We stayed at one of the whatever rooms at Animal Kingdom. It was just like the whatever economy room, and Animal Kingdom's like their deluxe hotel, right? One of them. We fly into Orlando. We don't pick up our bags. Disney comes and gets our bags from the baggage claim. Disney loads them on to the bus. Disney has a spot for us on a luxury bus. Disney drives us in to Disney World. We check in at Animal Kingdom. I say, hey man, it's our honeymoon. I was running a scam. He knew I was running a scam. It's appreciated. We both knew what time it was, right? Because I did my research. I said, hey man, and I had booked this thing, way out. Hey man, I was wondering if we could get an upgrade to the animal view rooms, the rooms that like you're literally like the animals, they don't come up to your room, but they can get pretty close, right? Like the giraffes and stuff. And I wonder if you can do that, because I tried to and I couldn't find one. That was a lie. He knew it was a lie. And he goes, you know what, sir? He's like, I see here that it's your honeymoon. It's Aaron and Robert, right? Yeah. Yes, sir, it is. Yeah, it's your honeymoon, right? Because I see that it's right here. It's down at your honeymoon. He's like, I'm going to upgrade you to the animal view room, and also here's the keys to the Kilimanjaro Lounge, where they have complimentary wine, spirits, and snacks 24 hours a day. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that so much. Oh my God, you're the best. Blah blah blah. Disney. Literally, we bought the photo pass, which means that anywhere there was a Disney photographer, we scanned our little magic bands and they took pictures of it. So we didn't have to worry about taking pictures. All the rides, we scheduled fast passes. Didn't have to wait in line for anything. The dining, we had reservations at like fine dining and in between, like every single night we were there. All the fly stuff, right? We did like the frozen dessert party. It was like an extra $100 a person, so $200. It seems like a lot, right? But this thing had booze, open bar, wasted, absolutely wasted in Epcot Center, right? Disney, Gets our bags. They load our bags back up at the end of the week. Load our bags up on the bus. Put us on the bus. Take us back to the airport. Give us our bags. Tell us bye-bye. All that is gone. They have and it cost more than it did 5 years ago when we were on honeymoon. So that's how they won us, because we were like, okay, if we're gonna go to Vietnam, we're gonna have to deal with like, it's a whole new. It's not like we're scared of it, but it's just like one more thing. You know, we're in a foreign place, right? It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be an adventure, but we're gonna be jet lagged. Blah blah blah, right? Why don't we just go to Disney and have everything taken care of and relax? But on God's green earth, on God's green earth, how are we going to go? How am I going to pay more money than it is to travel overseas, and all the perks that would have got me there are now gone? That's crazy. That's crazy, dog. No, seriously. I'm sure they probably still do this, but your little bands that your little magic bands that you put on, and you're like, hey, for your fast passes or whatever, and you go get on a ride, and I could look at like the operator of the ride, their thing, when it beeps, it says Robert and Aaron honeymoon, and people are all like, oh my God, they're going on honeymoon, and blah 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 blah, and all that kind of silly stuff, right? I'm sure that still exists because that's free, but like all the perks are gone. That company's dead. It's a shell of itself. It's through. So point of this being is, I understand the mindset, because even Disney knows all those people who make, you know, a lifestyle of this, people who join the DVC, which is the Disney Vacation Club, which is a timeshare. Imagine having a timeshare, dog, and being locked in to Disney vacations every year. That seems like a level of hell. I mean, it's the top level of hell. It's the level of hell. It seems like The Good Place, the TV show The Good Place level of hell that I could deal with if I had to go to hell, but it's still a level of hell for sure. But Disney knows. The mouse knows. Those people are not, they have nowhere to go. Where are they going to go? Six Flags? Where are they going to go? Universal? They're not. They're going to keep paying out of the nose their Disney Vacation Club every year. They're going to, because they want to go to a place where they can't be touched and no one touches them. There's no weird smells. The only brown people they see are going to be the people cleaning their rooms and scooping their popcorn and their overpriced turkey leg in the American Square or whatever it's called off of Main Street, USA. And they're going to keep on going. I purposely, like my wife and I purposely wore like leftist shit. Like we were wearing like, there's pictures of us of like, I had a Bernie shirt on, she had a Bernie shirt on, and like literal park employees were just like, thank you so much. They're like, thank you for coming. Thank you. Y'all are the coolest people here today. They're like, I had one woman at, in France, not at the Epcot Pavilion, but, it was where like, what's that guy? Gaston or whatever hangs. It's the Beauty and the Beast castle. And this woman's like, oh my God, I can't wait to vote for Bernie. She's just like, she's like, you should see the people who come in here and the stuff I have to deal with. They're terrible. And she's like, I'm not allowed. I was like, I'd be fired if somebody even, she's like, please don't tell anybody I told you this. And I'm like, girl, we got it. Like, you're good. You're good. But yeah, this corporation sucks. Let's get back to what this guy's saying.
Money. Always. Don Ohlmeyer, the very famous and really sort of like revolutionary producer at Monday Night Football, the guy who made Monday Night Football a thing, used to say, the answer to all your questions is money. Okay? I think of that every single day when I'm like, oh, I wonder why they did this, or I wonder why ABC brought back Jimmy Kimmel. And the answer is money. They made a calculation, Disney/ABC made a calculation. How much will we lose by getting rid of Kimmel forever versus how much will we lose by bringing him back? And it's not just about Kimmel and what they pay him and his ratings, which aren't amazing but aren't terrible. More than 1 million people still watch the show every night. More than that, Disney, remember, is looking out for Disney's broader interests, which go way beyond Jimmy Kimmel. that could be an argument for why they kowtowed to.
I swear to God, I did not pre-watch this.
On all of this.
It's almost like I know what I'm
they wanna
talking
make sure
about.
The Trump administration isn't unfavorably inclined toward them on their bigger issues. But there's also this. Disney needs creative types, writers, actors, producers, to fill up all of their shows, right? To fill up all of the content that they are creating. And in the wake of suspending Kimmel's show, Hollywood really had risen up. I want to read you something from the Wall Street Journal. I think it's important. This is from the Wall Street Journal. More than 400 celebrities, including Tom Hanks, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and Kerry Washington, signed a letter sponsored by the American Civil Liberties.
And to go back on my Disney rant, like, that is one of the saddest things about Disney is that, let's see here, just one sec. That is one of the saddest things about Disney is that there's so many great creative people. Maybe I'll make this a long stream tonight and we'll talk about one of my favorite, like, Imagineers, they're even called. Like, they got rid of the Imagineers or they're gone. But these are the guys who were just paid to, like, come up with creative stuff. Kind of like a DARPA, but for Disney, right? My favorite Imagineer, like Joe Rohde, who pretty much created all of Animal Kingdom. But he's just a really weird guy who does weird artistic stuff. There's so much real art and real culture that's just locked up inside that corporation that if you look at it in the right light, you can see the actual culture and art of that place that's just being constantly trimmed and cut and undercut by capitalism. It's really kind of sad.
Union denouncing Kimmel's suspension as, quote, a dark moment for freedom of speech in our nation. The suspension could have long-lasting repercussions on prominent talent's willingness to work with Disney. Okay? That's really, really important. The creative community, as they are known, did not take kindly to this. And that impacts Disney, Bob Iger's bottom line. So I think they tried to make an apples-to-apples calculation. How much will we lose with getting rid of Kimmel? How much will we lose by keeping him? And they decided keeping him made more sense, which leads me to reason number 2. This is an unsexy reason, but I think an important reason. Reason number 2 why they kept Kimmel, which is tied to money, but I'll call it logistics. Look, Jimmy Kimmel did a show most nights. It's very hard to just replace that if you are ABC and Disney, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have something waiting in the wings that you can just sub in there that will get the same ad rates.
And you can think about Twitch like that too. Like, again, Twitch is owned by Amazon. Amazon is not immoral. Well, Jeff Bezos is definitely immoral, but like Twitch Twitch is not immoral or moral. It's amoral. Think if Hassan Piker actually got permabanned, right? Now you'd have 30,000 plus people a night who would not come back. It would leave them with nowhere to go. They would probably, honestly, the man would probably go stream on Kick, and no, he wouldn't. He would never do that. But you know what I mean? Like, the idea is just like, it would leave such a hole that would be irreplaceable. Do you think, like, I don't know, do you think 30,000 people are all of a sudden going to go watch Mike from PA? And God bless Mike from PA. Do you think 30,000 people a night are all of a sudden going to come watch Lumin Cast? No, that's not going to happen. When you grow an audience like that, and as parasocial as this medium is, yeah, that's where they're going to go. They're going to go to Asmongold. Is what they're going to do. They're going to unban Destiny and bring back, and that's where all they're going to go. That's where all they're going to go. Absolutely. But like, when you, as parasocial as this medium is, like, they're here like to see him every day. They're not going to just go on to the next streamer. They've created a connection, and that's exactly what he's talking about here. That's a whole, you know, even Jimmy Kimmel not being like, I don't know, a mover and shaker in the entertainment sphere, he's still got, you know, his, whatever his audience is, who's ever watching that is loyal to him. They're not just going to flip over. They'll go watch Jimmy Fallon or something.
It's the same sponsorship, you know, all of that stuff, right? CBS, you'll remember, announced a few months ago, it was canceling Stephen Colbert's show in 2026, which gives them plenty of time to decide what they want to fill that late night space with. If you just get rid of Jimmy Kimmel, well, all of a sudden you've got to fill that space. You've got to make the money that show still made every single night for you. And that's not easy. So again, it gets back to the answer to all your questions is money, but I think logistics do matter here. It's very hard to just get rid of an hour's worth of programming on broadcast television. Reason number three why I think ABC and Disney is bringing Jimmy Kimmel back. What Kimmel said, while I think probably way too up to misinterpretation and interpretation that he should have said in that moment, given the heightened emotions around Charlie Kirk's murder, was not massively
It was nothing.
offensive.
It was nothing.
He essentially said that MAGA world,
was
Trump
nothing.
world, was doing everything that they could to say that this guy, the shooter, wasn't one of their own. Now, I understand why people take that as Kimmel saying the shooter was a MAGA person, when we knew at least the day before Kimmel made these remarks that Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, had said the shooter had a leftist ideology. So I get,
which they are quickly backing up, because they can't prove any of that. Not only did he not have a leftist ideology, now you got right-wingers, for however you want to take this, is just subjective. You got right-wingers thinking that it was a hit by Is Not Real, which I find hilarious. That's something we could talk about later, maybe, but just to get that out there, like, we don't have to do anything with that as leftists. We can just, we haven't proven it, but they're still trying to say directly from, they're still trying to say that, but it feels like a lot of, you got Candace Owens, a lot of Tim Dillon right-wingers are just like, come on, this is obviously not the case. You don't have any evidence for that. And then now everything you say is now fishy. We can't trust Kash Patel. We can't trust the FBI. The way this man died is real weird. And what I'm saying is, as leftists, even liberals, you don't have to swim in that. You don't have to get involved, but you don't have to stamp it down either. Let them fight. Let them tear each other apart. This thing is so boomeranging back on the right wing by trying to, literally worship at the corpse of Charlie Kirk and put it on leftists. It is blowing up, and I don't mean this, no pun intended. It is blowing up in their face so hard. Let them keep doing it. As Sun Tzu said, when your enemy's making a mistake, do not intervene.
At why people could take it that way. I didn't take it that way. I took it as Kimmel was essentially saying the MAGA world is doing everything they could to not take responsibility for at least some part of setting the toxic political environment that we're in. But I understand why people could take it that way. My point is, Jimmy Kimmel didn't come out and praise Nazis or use a bunch of racial or ethnic slurs or, do some other really irresponsible things that are clearly fireable offenses, right? What he did was say something that, like, right on the line, like, if you don't like him already, you're not going to like it. If you like him, you're going to say no big deal. And if you're in between, you're going to be like, I don't really know what to do, which is kind of me. ABC and Disney got a huge helping hand on this by fact four of why I think they brought him back, which is free speech / Brendan Carr. So again, the money is always first. The logistics matter.
Fair.
What Kimmel said, not great, but certainly not like hugely offensive to the broad swath of America, which makes it a little easier. And then fact four, you'll remember that Brendan Carr, the head of the Federal Communications Commission, was on a podcast with Benny Johnson, a very pro-MAGA guy, and essentially said ABC needs to fix its Jimmy Kimmel situation. They can do it the easy way or the hard way. Which, it's hard not to read that as, I was going to say an implicit threat, but it's mostly an explicit threat. It's basically like, either you do something about it or we, the FCC, are going to punish you for it. Now, again, Carr's ability to punish ABC over that comment, I don't think it's defamatory. The idea that Kimmel knew what he was saying was wrong. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But I think what Brendan Carr did was give Bob Iger, the head of Disney, and the folks at ABC an out, which is to say,
exactly, mafia-ish.
cave.
I'll be
on
right back.
free
Just chair for a
speech.
second.
The idea that Jimmy Kimmel said something that the Trump administration doesn't like, and therefore we have to cancel him, is not a good precedent to set. We can stand on the free speech ground and say, well, the FCC chairman is like openly threatening us, and no one, Republican, Democrat, whatever, should agree with that approach. And in fact, Ted Cruz, Republican from Texas, Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky, both in the Senate, came out and said, look, like, I don't like Jimmy Kimmel, but we can't silence him or force him to be silenced because he said something we don't like. Because if Democrats get in charge of the FCC at some point, which they will, at some point they'll win the presidency and the FCC chairman will be a Democratic appointee. Well, then if they silence conservative critiques of liberals, that's terrible, and we've set that precedent, which is, of course, the right thing to do. Free speech is to protect speech you don't agree with, not speech you do agree with, because at some point, if free speech is used to protect speech you don't agree, it is used to punish speech you don't agree with, it will be used to punish speech you do agree with at some point, right? So I think if you add all of those things up, so money, logistics, Kimmel's comments were, not great in the moment, but not super, super offensive to most Americans. And then the free speech sort of argument that ABC and Bob Iger and Disney can latch onto and say, look, it's really important that we not allow the government to threaten what can be said. I think plus a little bit of conservative support on that free speech front, public conservative support from Ted Cruz. You add all that stuff up, and I think it makes sense why Kimmel is back. Now, I will say, late night TV is not all of a sudden going to make a huge ratings comeback. Kimmel's show on Tuesday night will do bigger ratings than any Kimmel show in recent years because there will be a lot of interest. Does he apologize? What does he say? Does he go back after Trump? Does he go after ABC and Disney? So that show and maybe this week's shows will get more attention. But look, late night TV, just like broadcast television in general, is in a long-term decline. It is not going to turn around. So if in a year ABC cancels the Kimmel show, it wouldn't stun me. But I think those reasons why I outlined are why Kimmel is back, at least for the foreseeable future. As always, I ask you to subscribe to this channel. I am independent. I am authentic. I'm always telling you what I think based on my years of reporting, not what you want to hear. I do not have ties to mainstream media. I do not have ties to either party. I'll always tell you what I think. Honest, you might not always agree, but I'll always give it to you straight. I also ask you to like and comment on this video. That helps me get my content out to people who aren't already subscribers to my channel. Last thing, tell somebody about what I'm doing here and why you like it, and be an evangelist for me. Okay.
Ethical Reacts. Woo! No, I like what that guy had to say. That guy was libbed up, but he said exactly the truth, and what he got right to the heart of it. It was pretty dope. All right. That being said,
you have been listening to this event.
I have an autistic little brother, and I haven't talked to my parents in a while because le politique, right? I have an autistic little brother. He just turned 18, believe it or not, right? He just graduated from high school. So now we got all this autism foolishness, and I'm supposed to go spend Christmas with my parents, right? The way I am primed for battle, like Rocky Balboa. The way if somebody says something stupid over the holidays, one of my family members or one of my extended family, because my parents are Trump voters, the way I am going to jump off the top, forget Tylenol in the stocking, forget that. The way I'm jumping off the top rope like a macho man. Brother, I am built for this. I am ready for this. Let somebody get drunk, get a little tipsy, and say something crazy. But yeah, I want to hear it. Honestly, I this is too close to me with my little brother, so I've been kind of not paying attention to this. But I want to listen to this foolishness, and then I want to talk about why it's happening. And it's not rocket science why it's happening at all. But there's a reason why Trump, sleepy guy right here, is on some bullshit about autism, things that he shouldn't be around about when the empire is crumbling all around.
Event, of course, at the White House with President Trump, that big announcement on this new warning on a key ingredient found in pain relievers like Tylenol, linking it to autism. Although there are questions about the science behind some of these recent studies, causation versus correlation, etc. Scientists have been looking at this potential link between autism and acetaminophen for years, but the data, according to experts, has been fairly inconclusive at best. And major medical groups say acetaminophen is one of the only safe pain relievers for women during pregnancy. We're going to come back into this event once the president, if he does, starts to take questions or speaks again. So we'll leave it up there. But I want to bring in, as we've got team coverage here, our medical correspondent, Erica Edwards. Dr. Kavita Patel is also with us, as is Vaughn Hilliard. Erica Edwards, let me start with you here, because you heard the president in extraordinarily clear terms say, don't use Tylenol, as he said, Tylenol. Again, being clear, we're talking about acetaminophen here. Give us a context check on some of this, because there are some questions regarding what the president and his health secretary are putting forward.
Yeah, this was an extraordinary announcement, mainly because of the misinformation that I heard from our president. Starting with the numbers of autism cases in the U.S., he was claiming that it was 1 in, I don't know, whatever thousand, just 20 years ago. Let's put it this way. In 2000, there was 1 in 150 kids with autism in this country. In 2016, it was 1 in 54. Now it's 1 in 31. And experts who have been studying autism for decades say that there's nothing new going on biologically, but it's because we have increased awareness and that we have expanded the definition of autism spectrum disorder overall.
Is that Dr. Oz? Jesus Christ, what a loser, dude. You're gonna have Dr. Oz tell you something about your kids? You should, if you listen to this man about your children, CPS should be coming to pick your kids up. But no, what she's saying is, in layman's terms, is it's like saying, oh, look how many more left-handed people there are now than there was 100 years ago. Well, yeah, because people weren't like beating children for using their left hand. They're not doing that now like they did in antiquity. So a lot more people came out as left-handed. I'm definitely on the spectrum. I've never been properly tested, but I've definitely was told when I was a child, oh, he's just hyperactive. Oh, he has too much sugar. And no, that's not hyperactivity. That's the spectrum. We just didn't call it that. That's what she's saying.
As many as 65% of pregnant women take Tylenol sometime in their pregnancy. And so, the doctors I've talked with said that there's absolutely no evidence that linking acetaminophen with autism. In fact, there was a huge study last year published looking at kids with autism and their siblings, right? They have similar genetics, they have similar, environmental exposures. There was no link with that major study. Hallie.
There's another question, too, related to, why pregnant women would be taking acetaminophen in the first place if they have, for example, a fever. We know that some of these expert groups, these medical organizations have said that can actually be very dangerous for pregnant women, too.
Because fevers indicate infection, right? So if you have a fever, you take Tylenol to get rid of that, or to sort of bring down your body temperature. Fevers in utero have been linked to dehydration in the developing babies, and that could itself cause problems.
I want to come to Dr. Kavita Patel here, who's been listening along with us. One of the things that Erica referenced too, the idea that we have a better understanding of autism spectrum disorder, that there is more awareness of it, is why this comparison that the president made to Cuba is one that experts question as well. This idea that Cuba has lower rates of autism because they don't use as much acetaminophen.
Right. We know also that the rates of autism have not necessarily been this.
Is it? So was that an end around? Is he saying that Cuba, which is a superior society to the American one, is right? Is that like an end around for like Viva la Revolucion? Like Trump says the craziest stuff that's like actually super leftist without knowing it's leftist. He's an idiot in that way, and he's funny like Hitler was funny, like a funny little man. We can't put too much into it, like, because he's dangerous. Obviously, we've got concentration camps in the United States and people are being abducted in black bags. So he ain't that funny, but he's funny in the way that Hitler was.
Massive shift just because of all this causality, which, by the way, even these studies between Tylenol were not done in a way where you could demonstrate that causal link.
Pause there. Can you explain that difference? Because that's super, super important.
All right, so let's take the Harvard study that you just heard about. That was actually what we call a systematic review it's a review of other studies. They included 46 studies, 100,000 people, lots of people, but it was a lot of different studies that were done for different purposes, and then they just retrospectively kind of looked and tried to see if there was any association. So I'll give you the analogy. They may have found that people who took Tylenol had children that had some sort of autism spectrum disorder, but they never necessarily also teased out if they had access.
I am not a fan of NBC News at all, not in the slightest. It's liberal gobbledygook, but the way that I appreciate them not making me listen to Dr. Mehmet Oz, thank you so much.
Access to prenatal.
I would hit the subscribe button on this for MSNBC. It would be worth a Twitch Prime subscription to give to MSNBC because they're not forcing Mehmet Oz on me.
Care if they also had other things that could have contributed to that diagnosis of ASD. So I think to distill it all to some one thing cause the other is actually not reading the study the way that Harvard intended for it to be done.
We've also heard now the administration and these top health officials, as we're listening, obviously keeping an ear on this, wanting to make sure that we're getting the context checks into, talk about offering folate and the prevalence of folate here to people who do have autism.
Right, and there's been so much that's been talked about, and we're still kind of hearing it unfold, but there has been a leak, and already now we're seeing the demonstration of this kind of link with a potential treatment for autism spectrum disorder. You heard FDA, NIH, CMS, and now.
This is like, I don't mean to be flippant about this because I feel like I can because I have family, direct family that are autistic, but it's like, bro, this is straight out of an X-Men comic. It's like they have a cure for for being a mutant. Like, this is crazy. And my analogy with like autism, this is a personal thing where I really kind of believe this, is that autism is what autism really is. It's like being, a mutant in the Marvel Comics universe, to where it is human evolution working itself out, right? Sometimes you get a Wolverine who's just like, super strong, super endurance, healing, X factor, healing factor, the whole bit. And sometimes you get a squirrel girl, just a normal girl with a prehensile tail who can communicate with squirrels. Those are things on the different side of the end of the spectrum. And it's just evolution, putting new things into the gene pool to see what'll dominate and to see if those genes will be passed on. Not that evolution has a direction, it's just to procreate. But you see what I'm saying? It's selection pressure. The genes that are like advantageous will be passed on. The ones that are not will go away. That's how evolution works. And I think it's just, this is like every X-Men comic I've ever read.
Now the secretary is saying that, well, we have this potential that could be a treatment for autism spectrum disorder. Let me be clear. Those studies have been small. They're promising. And I think what it does is it misaligns that we know that autism spectrum disorder is not one thing and there's not one manifestation. So is there a potential for leucovorin, which is basically a more active form of folate, which is a basic element that we should have in our leafy greens and vegetables? There has been studies that have shown that potentially the uptake of folic acid into the brain is one of many reasons that we can see a representation of autism in children. So I think that it's a very important set of studies to do, but one could argue, and I would, that we have so many other things.
Bro, what's she trying to do with this button right here? What is that about? You could go one more. Is that the last? Because either one or two things are wrong here. Like, if the last button here is the top button, then that's a wrong. That shirt's wrong. Or you trying to do fascism but make it sexy. Like, you need to, if you're trying to do fascism but make it sexy, you're failing, because you at least need to have the glasses and your hair like in that pony to where you can like do one of these and like do the shirt, and that still wouldn't be sexy because it's fascism, but it would at least be a better attempt than this. Either way, it's wrong.
That we could link and also explore. And so I'm very interested in what the NIH is standing up to understand, are there other studies being done? Right. And then I would love to kind of make sure that what I'm worried about right now is that if I'm a mother with a child with autism, I want to call and get on this medication. It's an oral pill given sometimes in 2 doses a day. Why can't I get it? Well, because we just don't know if that will actually help. And we don't want to give anything that could potentially harm or mislead people from a potential treatment that we don't even have for autism spectrum disorder today.
What if, Erica Edwards, let me go back to you and then we'll get to Von Hilliard. But Erica, if you are a woman who is pregnant right now and you're watching this and you're going, well, wait a second, what am I supposed to do if I catch a cold, if I get a fever, et cetera?
Take Tylenol.
The advice is always, of course, talk to your doctor, talk to your personal doctor who knows you and who knows your personal health. But I wonder what you've heard from experts as you've been reporting this out over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, here's the deal. I mean, whether this checks out over time, the damage has been done. Women who are pregnant or are considering getting pregnant are now fearful of Tylenol. They're fearful of acetaminophen. And so that's what folks who I'm hearing from are most concerned about. And so, yes, of course, as you said, talk to your doctor. But yeah, I mean, the fear is already there. President Trump mentioned vaccines. That's also been debunked time and time again. But the fact that, the president of the United States has come out on this national platform to talk about these things is really major, right? And it's something that scientists, doctors have already sort of looked into. And my big question is, why now? Why today is this coming out? Because the doctors I've talked with said there's really no new research that we haven't heard about before that's leading to this particular announcement today.
Who is this lady? She looks like a person who homeschools her kids and doesn't give them Flintstone vitamins because they're the work of the devil. Like, who is you?
Other than the fact that the secretary announced that, earlier this year that he would have some sort of answer by September.
I want to explain to you what we're hearing from Kenvue, which is the maker of Tylenol. Again, we're talking more generally about acetaminophen, at least the health secretary is, although you heard the president very directly.
Why is this man so red? Why does he sound like that?
Point to Tylenol here, and Kenvue says that we believe independent sound science clearly shows that taking acetaminophen does not cause autism. They go on to say, we strongly disagree with any suggestion otherwise and are deeply concerned with the health risk this poses for expecting mothers.
Now here's an interesting wrinkle, because why I completely believe that 100%. The pharmaceutical companies have put themselves, because they're dirty. It's capitalism. They've been playing a dirty game in this country for forever now, right? So no one's going to believe if the big pharma, which that's a real thing. I don't even mean to say it like that to try to make fun of people who would be like, yeah, I don't trust pharmaceutical companies. But if pharmaceutical companies tell me it's raining outside, I'm going to go outside and check. So it's like, you really don't, because the way y'all been doing people, you don't have a leg to stand on here. From the same people, and this isn't Pfizer, but from the same people who bought you OxyContin, and Percocet, I'm not trying to hear what you have to say. But of course, it's Tylenol. It's been tested to the wigwam by now. We know it doesn't cause autism.
Others. They say, Dr. Patel, it's the safest pain reliever option for pregnant women as needed. And without it, and this is what I think is what Erica was speaking to too, without it, women face dangerous choices, suffer through conditions like fever that are potentially harmful to both mom and baby, or do something else, use an alternative that could potentially be riskier.
Right, or pain. I mean, a lot of what we do is I've got patients who are pregnant with migraines, with headaches, with back pain, all sorts of things. And just weighing the risk and the benefit of acetaminophen for that mother in that situation is exactly what we do. By the way, we don't just say take as much acetaminophen as you want. We actually have, and the standards for the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, the American Medical Association, every single major association has said, use it in a sparing way to weigh the benefit and risks, but not because we see this causal link.
Yeah, because we know that's what all pregnant mothers are doing. They're just out here just popping pills, acting crazy. They're out here popping, Tylenol like it's not even Tylenol 3, Tylenol 1 like it's Xanny bars. Keep saying they have no idea how stupid they are by literally putting people in these situations where they must suffer pain on purpose. No, absolutely. And there's a very obvious reason for that, but we'll let this video play and then we'll talk about it for a minute till we get to something more fun.
But just because we tell that to pregnant women about almost everything.
That's right.
We tell women to avoid non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs because of some risks potentially to the fetus. We tell women to avoid soft cheese because there might be a bacterial infection. We avoid alcohol
Deli
and
turkey
tobacco.
right,
That's
yeah.
exactly right. So we put this in line with where we see risk and benefit. And this is Tylenol, acetaminophen, is one of the safest things we can give.
But now, Von Hilliard, you have the levers of government that are behind this move, from Secretary Kennedy, who noted and longtime vaccine skeptic here, from President Trump as well, as they're suggesting now. Secretary Kennedy says that the FDA is going to initiate the process on the safety label change for acetaminophen here. And some of the language here, I think, is absolutely worth noting, because you heard Secretary Kennedy invoke the phrase, believe all women.
I like how Trump's, and like, I don't want to live out, you know, because again, this is a dangerous man, obviously. But I like how Trump's like, I'm trying to be serious face, like I care face. It's the same as like, I'm asleep, but I'm also constipated. It's wild to look at him like here's what it is. I would love to see if I could put myself in kind of a Inception, kind of alternate reality, whatever, dreamscape. I would love to see Donald Trump the way that he sees himself. Like the way that he thinks he looks right now, I would like him to project that into my brain so I could enjoy that. Because you know the way he thinks he looks right now is like regal. He thinks he looks like important and thoughtful and smart, but he just looks constipated. And that's hilarious to me. I'm sorry, it just is.
Which had long been used as a phrase since really the Me Too movement for sexual assault victims and survivors. And his suggestion is that you've also got to believe women, mothers, who have children with autism as well. The language around this, obviously political and health announcement, is, I think, worth talking about.
Absolutely. And when you're looking at the two men's relationship, there were a lot of questions that people were speculating whether Secretary Kennedy would be pushed out the door in the past weeks over the firing of the 17 members of the advisory committee on vaccine.
Christian Girl Fall is like strong in the White House today. Like this whole arrangement right here of these, not counting like dorky news guy, but like Trump and RFK and Mehmet Oz and like these two women, it's giving like Mormon reality show polycule, where they're all having sex with each other, but they all have to like wear a mask while they're doing it, so that way they're not cheating on each other. It's giving A&E reality show hard.
And yet we have not heard publicly any reason from the president to question the actions of Secretary Kennedy. And, you know, I was out on the campaign trail with the two men in 2024, and then candidate Trump made very specifically that he was going to let Kennedy, quote, go wild on vaccines and anything else he wanted to go. And so in large part, this moment here at the White House is affirmation from the President of the United States to the decades-old work that Secretary Kennedy has taken on. And I think that is where, even in this moment here, you heard the president use, you know, sort of playing almost doctor role there in a way that it's hard not to take you back to 2020 during the COVID response to the recommendations that he was providing that typically would come from medical professionals. But the president himself said, quote, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say.
God, Trump does not want to be. I'm sorry. I just keep focusing in. I keep focusing in on our boy Donnie. He has so much. He has better places to be. Or like he just does not want to be here so hard. And it's so obvious. But he thinks that he's fooling us. And it's like, bro, I could tell you don't want to be here. I could tell you want to be. What do you think this man actually enjoys? I don't think he enjoys golf. I don't think he does. Like, what do you think? I think he plays golf because he's like, well, I'm a rich asshole. Like, that's what I'm supposed to do is play golf. Like, he don't give a fuck. And it's like, I just want to know, like, what do you think he's actually into? I'd love to know. Besides having sex with children.
And he says taking Tylenol is not good. Don't take it. There's no downside in not taking it. Now, we should be clear. Just minutes later, Secretary Kennedy came out and did, as you guys just outlined, provide the scenarios and reasons why taking Tylenol has long benefited women during pregnancy here. And so I think this is a relationship between the two men. You know, the president suggested that they first met 20 years ago on this. I was at Trump Tower back in 2016 after President Trump won his first race, in which he welcomed Kennedy up to the Oval, or up to Trump Tower. And there were a lot of questions about where these two men's relationship would go, and ultimately President Trump backing the efforts of Secretary Kennedy here in real time.
Vaughn Hilliard, thank you very much for that. We're going to continue to listen in to this event at the White House. Dr. Kavita Patel, Vaughn Hilliard, Erica Edwards. We're going to keep you close as the president is speaking again. Let's actually go in and listen in case
Actually, let's don't. I don't want to hear Satan at all. So this is not rocket science, people. The reason why he is in the Trump White House is focusing on stuff like they're chasing ghosts. They think they're going to chase down the causes of autism. They think that they're going to arrest the CEO of Antifa. This is what fascist regimes do, because you don't want to. This is worse than the Nazi Party in a lot of ways. And I mean, I don't mean to belittle the Holocaust, or like, we have concentration camps now, but they're not like the Nazis did it yet. But what I mean by, like, at least the trains ran on time in Nazi Germany. At least the Autobahn got built. But in America, we have fascism, but the people who voted for and support fascism and would lay their lives down for fascism have nothing to show for it. Their lives still suck. The food still costs too much. It's poisoned. They still have to drive an hour both ways to go to a job that underpays them. The roads they drive on completely obliterate their car because infrastructure is failing. Their kids don't have proper schooling. If their kids even decide to go to college or try to go to college, they can't afford that. The old maxim of, go to college and get a good job, and then you'll get a good job. Nope, that's dead. All the bills are piling up. Their lives are terrible. So this fascist regime, and it's not like the Democratic Party was doing any better. The Democratic Party, because of their inaction, and I don't even say ineptitude, because they know the problems. They know the problems in this country, but they refuse to solve them because they worship at the feet of capital. Capitalism is the end boss. They know the problems. They laid the ground for this. The fascists here aren't going to do anything about it. They're not going to rebuild infrastructure. They're not going to make anybody's lives better. They're going to make everybody's lives worse. So they have to throw the base red meat. So they have to, on TV, they have to have video footage of them rounding up brown people, that actually, the people that, because of their underpaid, exploited labor, actually make our treats available to us at a reasonable price. But no, we have to go after those people, making the people who supported that action, their lives even worse. They're not going to fix your roads. They're not going to, get you bargaining power at your job. So they have to keep just doing silly shit like this to distract us from the actual problems that are going on in America. It's really not complicated at all.
Former Philippine.
All right. So this is something I haven't seen anybody cover. And this is something that I think, because of gallows humor, I think is absolutely hilarious. So Duterte, the Philippines' old president, has been arrested by the international, the ICC. I can't remember the International Criminal Court for war crimes charges. He is going to be in the dock of The Hague. Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? To quote, well, let's just hear this. Let's, because this is actually interesting. Because he absolutely deserves to be in the dock of The Hague. But if this man deserves to be in the dock of The Hague, who do you think should be at the top of the list? A man from Philadelphia? Maybe. A man from Philadelphia who pretends to be from the Middle East, but he's actually from a Philly suburb named Bibi Netanyahu. If we're calling Duterte a war criminal, then what the hell is Bibi?
President Rodrigo Duterte is under arrest. He's facing charges of crimes against humanity for his war on drugs. The International Criminal Court says thousands were killed under his watch. So how will this play out domestically?
Ooh, TOS.
Hello again, I'm James Bays. The former president of the Philippines is set to stand trial for crimes against humanity in The Hague. Rodrigo Duterte has been linked to thousands of extrajudicial killings during his controversial war on drugs. It's a win for the International Criminal Court, since it's rare for such a high-profile figure to be brought to justice. But domestic politics may have played a role.
It's not a win, dog. It's a makeup call. It's a makeup call because Bibi Netanyahu should be, if this man has committed crimes against humanity, then I don't even know. We need to invent a new word for Netanyahu and the Israeli government.
In his arrest, Duterte had made an enemy of the sitting president. So is justice being served, or is international law being weaponized for political gain? And what does this mean for other powerful figures who are wanted by the ICC? We'll get to our panel of guests in a moment.
Nothing.
But first,
nothing. Because to quote, see if I can bring this up while we're listening to this.
Those emails
I'll try to find it. Report from Fintan Mona.
Gail Benton and top.
Once the most powerful man in the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte is taken away as a prisoner. He was arrested by police after returning from Hong Kong and left Manila on Tuesday. Duterte is set to stand trial at the International Criminal Court in The Hague. In a message recorded before his departure, Duterte said he's being deprived of his legal rights.
So, what is the law and what is the crime that I committed?
During his time in office, Duterte led a controversial war on drugs. The ICC warrant accuses him of crimes against humanity for extrajudicial executions. Police records show more than 6,000 people were killed. Some say the death toll is much higher. His legacy divides the Philippines. His actions were condemned by many, but others support his tough stance on crime.
When he was president, things were peaceful. There was less crime and there was order when he was in power. He did not deserve this treatment.
I think the arrest was the right action for the people who wanted justice for the deaths of their children, to get peace for those who were killed.
Duterte's arrest is a win for the ICC, but there are questions over its jurisdiction. The Philippines withdrew from the court in 2019, but the ICC insists it can still prosecute crimes committed before that date. There are also questions about the role domestic politics played in the arrest.
We did not do this because it was derived from or it came from ICC.
Let me see if this is the right quote.
Here from the Trump administration and from your meetings with Netanyahu, what would be Saudi Arabia's role in the day after in Gaza? And is it somehow connected?
The same. Bibi and Putin are not the same. Bibi actually has to get elected. Nobody's falling out of windows over here that I've seen. The idea that there's a comparison between Putin's Russia and Israel is offensive to me at every level. The Prime Minister goes to court 3 days a week. You have a very robust legal system over here. And if you don't like the government today, just wait. There'll be an election in 2 weeks. Does anybody really believe that Putin's held accountable by anybody in Russia? That's why you have the Rome Statute, not the United States, not Israel. So that idea, to me, is an offensive concept that there's any comparison at all. What role will Saudi Arabia play? The key role.
Okay. So with that said, he was quoted as saying, that's pretty much what I was looking for, but he was also quoted as saying, the ICC is for Africa and for thugs like Putin. And that's giving the game away. He actually is correct. He's correct. It's another mask of American empire used to enforce American foreign policy. It has nothing to do with international justice. It's never been, this has always been the law of the jungle. It always has been. There's no liberal international world order. It's all a fucking scam, and it's all like you got Trump today at the UN talking shit about the UN. It's like, dog, you are the UN. The United States has permanent membership and veto power, dog. Like, so if you have a problem with the UN, then you have a problem with the United States, because all the UN is just one more coating of bullshit to enforce American empire.
You see, we did this.
So it's like this, honestly, what's going on here, in my opinion, yeah, this motherfucker needs to be at the dock in The Hague. He's a piece of shit. He's garbage. But this is, in sports, they call this a makeup call. This is a makeup call because they're embarrassed about Bibi Netanyahu in Israel.
This because Interpol asked us to do it. And we have commitments to them, and we lived up to those commitments.
An alliance between two political dynasties, the Marcos and the Duterte family, has broken down. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and his allies are trying to impeach Duterte's daughter, who is vice president. Marcos' decision to execute the ICC's warrant has allowed him to weaken a political opponent. Duterte has left the country he once ruled, uncertain if he will ever return. A man once thought untouchable will now have to answer the charges against him. Vincent Monaghan, Al Jazeera, for Inside Story.
Well, let's bring in our guests to discuss this further. And today, in Manila, in the Philippines, we have Cristina Conti, Secretary General of the National Union of People's Lawyers. We're talking about the International Criminal Court today. Well, we have former Chief Prosecutor of the court in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Luis Moreno.
That guy looks worn out. He needs a decent night's sleep and some new glasses. They're like falling off his face.
Moreno Ocampo also joining us on Inside Story.
He looks like Ernest Hemingway after like a cocaine bender.
Thank you for joining us on the program today. Luis, if I can start with you, your reaction to this. I mean, Duterte, the court had been looking at him for a very long time. Was he even on the radar when you were the chief prosecutor?
No. Philippines joined the court after. What is interesting for me is there is a emerging global order system, because Duterte flew to Hong Kong, and then when he was doing immigration, people realized, there is an arrest warrant against him presented by Interpol. So Interpol notified a red notice to Hong Kong authorities to arrest him. Hong Kong authorities sent back to Manila, but then in Manila, he was arrested and sent to the International Criminal Court. So that was a system. It's a police, judicial activity, no political interference, and it's working. It's fascinating for me to see that in a world, chaotic world, suddenly there is law and there is order.
Could have done that. What he just described is the way it should be done. Could have done that with Bibi the whole time. Two reasons why they don't do it, why that's not done with Netanyahu is there's one reason. The most important reason is Israel is a client state, a colony of the United States. By attacking Israel, you are attacking the United States proxy. Secondary reason, Netanyahu, Duarte. Netanyahu, Duarte. It's as simple as that.
Christina, I'd like to perhaps come back to the Interpol part of this, because it may be there is a Philippines reason for this. We'll come to that in a moment. But first, the reaction on the ground there in Manila, because it's all...
Now, this will not save you if you are... That's why Vladimir Putin has a warrant out. But that'll never get... That warrant will never get exercised. It'll never be fulfilled, because Russia has nukes. It's that simple too. Russia has nukes. If you have the nukes, nobody wants to mess with you. That's how it works. It's that simple. So, but if you're like Slobodan Milosevic and you don't have nukes and you're not backed by the United States, well, it's to The Hague you go.
Almost 3 years after he left office, Duterte remains a polarizing figure. It's very popular with some, but I guess the one thing people in the country shared, whatever their views, was the shock at seeing this once powerful president under arrest.
Well, I certainly agree. It was a pleasant surprise for us.
I mean, it's not shocking to the rest of the world. It's not shocking to me sitting here in America, because, like, this is no disrespect to the Philippines, but again, you are the Philippines. Now, The Philippines at one time was an extension of American colonial power. Went from Spanish to American, right? But they are kind of no longer that. Not kind of. They're no longer that anymore. So you don't have that protection because Duarte, being a total scumbag, committing crimes against humanity, as long as you're our guy. Saddam Hussein at one point was our guy. And we can go down the list. Osama bin Laden was our guy. And then as soon as we decide you're no longer our guy, then you lose the cloak of protection. And then also, it's the Philippines. You don't have nukes. So no nukes, no U.S. protection. To The Hague you go.
Of course. And infuriating, on the other hand, for his supporters. From on the side of the victims, we have long awaited this warrant of arrest. But the moment it came, of course, it was a different experience altogether to really see Duterte, the most powerful person in the Philippines, and for a time even in Southeast Asia, being taken and arrested by the same people he had earlier commanded. So it was surreal, but at the same time empowering for the victims.
And Christina, he had, we understand, been planning a political return, trying to go to his old job of mayor of Davao in Mindanao in the south of the Philippines, with elections coming up soon. He'd been in Hong Kong, as we heard. There were rumours of an arrest warrant. Why did he come back, do you think?
Good question.
Well, I don't know. And people have been debating whoever advised him to do so. He went to Hong Kong to campaign. And there was a campaign activity. There was a kind of a rally or a Thanksgiving activity on Sunday. He had the opportunity to come back on Monday. And there were rumors that he had asked for China's protection, that he had wanted to go to the mainland, that he wanted to remain in Hong Kong, but had been declined. So he had to go back to the Philippines latter part of the week. And so we saw this arrest in the Philippines. And surprisingly, the president, Marcos, who used to be best friends with him, that's what they called each other, and who was the running mate of the president's daughter.
And from what I know, I'm not I'm pretty smart. I'm pretty well read. But I always have to be humble. And from what I know about Chinese, I wouldn't even say political system, but like the Chinese theory of political thought is, I wouldn't run to, there's a reason why Snowden went to Russia and not Hong Kong or China, right? Which, Xi Jinping, Hong Kong is China. Hong Kong is China. Yes, 100%. I'm ready. You want to fly me out, and I will red sun in the sky all day as long as the checks keep coming. Okay, great. So, that being said, there's a reason why Snowden went to Russia, because Chinese philosophy is like, move slow, don't get involved in stuff, but when you do, you play to win, and you only get involved in things on your grounds. You don't fight battles on the enemy. You're not reactionary, I should say. The phrase in China, do nothing, win. So be slow to act, don't be reactionary, and only fight battles in your own terms. So I wouldn't have gone to China asking for that either, because they're not going to help you out.
Or rather, Duterte's daughter pulled through with his promise that he will cooperate with the court. Originally, the stance of the Philippine government had been firm. They will not cooperate the court. They will not recognize the jurisdiction of the court. However, eventually, it eased up. They softened on their stance. Also affected by the so-called breakup of the tandem of Duterte and the younger Marcos.
Okay, Luis, I want to ask you about the idea of arresting a world leader, current or former. You were the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. Only 3 people have done that job to this point. We know the well-known expression, justice needs to be applied without fear or favour. But is it more difficult when you're dealing with someone who is that high up in the system? And I think it's worth noting to our viewers that you brought indictments against Omar Bashir in Sudan, Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. You pursued charges against Uhuru Kenyatta, who later became the president of Kenya and against William Ruto, who's now the president of Kenya. Worth noting, both cases, those charges were dropped. But when you're dealing with someone at that level, do you have to go through your mind and think a bit more seriously about it than if it's another accused person?
Well, for a prosecutor, it should be the same. You have to collect the evidence. You cannot present charges with no clarity. The biggest problem is arresting. Arresting a head of state is hugely complicated. That's why when you mention the head of state in my time, President Bashir was in position for years, then fell, he was in jail in Sudan, debates to send him to ICC or not. Omar Gaddafi was killed when he was already indicted. President Gbagbo was in jail at The Hague for 9 years and then was acquitted. And President Kenyatta and Ruto they were the opposition party, killing each other. And suddenly they took the ICC arrest warrant as a mechanism to face opposition and make a ticket together. And
so what goes through your mind when you're planning an operation like this? I mean, if it's a really big one, I mean, are you thinking, are we ready? Are we actually going to manage to get this arrest through, and are we ready with the case?
Well, it's interesting your question, because in particular when I was doing Bashir, I had many people saying not to do it, but my duty was to do it. And so I checked the evidence, I checked the law, and I did it. And Karim Khan, the current prosecutor, did the same on Netanyahu and Putin. On Netanyahu, he put an advisory board to check. So what prosecutor has to check, the evidence is clear, the law is clear. Then it's a political problem for the others, not for the prosecutor.
Well, also joining us, another guest today in Manila, Richard Haydarian, who's senior lecturer in international affairs at the University of Philippines and author of The Rise of Duterte, a populist revolt against elite democracy. Richard, thank you for joining us. Tell us exactly what crimes Duterte is accused of.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm sure that our other guests are more competent than me to look at the merits of the case, but I think the case is extremely robust as far as the cases are concerned. We're looking at multiple communications, multiple grassroots efforts. We're talking about, people who are at the heart of the darkness of Duterte's war on drugs, like Mr. Matabato, Mr. Las Cañas, all of them providing this testimony. And we're looking at a very robust multi-year investigation by the ICC, and also in coordination with people who on the ground in the Philippines have been gathering evidence. So I think as far as the solidity or robustness of the evidence is concerned, I think there's no doubt about that. The debate rather in the Philippines right now.
Bro, those pinstripes and pearl necklace is frying me. This man said, you know what? I'm finna go on Al Jazeera. Live from Manila. What do I got? I got a pinstripe jacket with a pocket square. And I'm finna wear this pearl necklace. That's crazy work. That is crazy fuckboy work.
Now is whether the circumstances around which Duterte was just automatically whisked away to The Hague, was that something that was legally sound and crystal clear? To be honest about it, I've talked to many legal luminaries in the Philippines who are even critical of Duterte, but feel that perhaps we're talking a little bit of a legal gray zone, or at least we're talking about an unprecedented situation, because I think many were anticipating that, Duterte comes in, there'll be a temporary restraining order, this will be taken to the Supreme Court, Duterte supporters will have rallies and they'll delay this and all in all. But that's not what happened. I think they got completely outsmarted by the Marcos administration, which was prepared to prevent Duterte from coming back to the country and rallying support, and prepared to whisking away as soon as possible to The Hague. I think that was something that came as a shock to a lot of us who have been observing, to be honest, a quite conflict avoidant Marcos administration, which has been very wishy-washy on the status of their cooperation with the ICC, not to mention wishy-washy on the status of the jurisdiction of the ICC, which I think any reasonable legal expert or observer knows that the jurisdiction issue was resolved a long time ago.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Oh, the Philippines is not even a part from the ICC, not even a part of the ICC? Then this is a club that everyone had to sign off on. So this is beyond my scope of knowledge here. Like, how do they have, How does the ICC, that's something I'll get into. I'll look at that on my own. But like, how do they have jurisdiction if Philippines is not subject to the ICC? I don't understand it.
Chris,
is it because they're in the U? I don't know. I have to look.
Tina, if you can pick up the crimes that he is accused of. Sorry, Luis, go ahead.
If I make to clarify the point that he made, very important point. Normally, there are extradition trials and should be in Philippines, but with the International Criminal Court, the process is different. That's why Philippine lawyers don't know it very well. The process is called surrender. So with the International Criminal Court, you don't need an extradition trial. The police arrest him and the country surrender him to the ICC. That's it. Very simple, no extradition trials, no national intervention. And now the only authority to decide on the future of Duterte are the judges on the International Criminal Court, no one else. Philippine Supreme Court can do nothing else.
Thank you for clarifying that. Going back to the crimes he's accused of, Christina, vigilante death squads, summary executions, and what amazes me is the estimates of the number of people killed in these anti-drugs operations. I've seen low estimate of 6,000. I've seen 12,000. I've seen 30,000. We don't even know the numbers, do we?
Well, we don't. The authority to count these numbers, to take a toll, would be the government itself.
Okay, I got the answer. This is why I love ChatGPT, man. Absolutely love ChatGPT. Rome Statute Article 127, when a country withdraws from the ICC, the individual takes effect... When a country withdraws from the ICC, the withdrawal takes effect 1 year after notification. During that time, the ICC retains jurisdictions over crimes committed while the country was still a member. The timeline is, the Philippines joined the ICC in 2011. They announced withdrawal in March 2018. Withdrawal became official in March 2019. The alleged crimes occurred during and before this membership period. So they still have jurisdiction. Question answered.
And they are well placed to do that. The official government figure now is 7,600.
I love. Whoa. Get off of that. Whoa. Let's don't do that either. Whoa, okay. I love ChatGPT. Y'all just be using ChatGPT wrong. Just use it as a more. You can even. I'm pro being nice to it. I have a whole thing about that. Like, it doesn't matter if it's sentient or not. Like, be nice to it. It exists. Like, treat it like a comrade. But like, ask it think of it as like a super Google, and you can ask it very specific questions and get a very specific answer real fast. Y'all just using it wrong.
That have said that Duterte...
Don't be out here asking it to give you the meaning of life and tell you you're a good boy or whatever. However, y'all are out here getting AI psychosis.
Is being indicted for his role as the founder of the DDS, this is the Davao Death Squad, as the mayor of Davao, and as the president of the Philippines. So this spans 2011 to 20 pattern that should matter.
I don't want to know what's in them boxes.
Will be proven before the court.
Whoa.
And Luis, I mean, he was very public about what he said he was going to do.
Is it silly day? Is it silly day on Al Jazeera? Look at this man's tie.
Luis,
it's got to be silly day. Everybody they called each other beforehand and be like, look, it's silly day on Al Jazeera. Everybody wear something silly.
Was very public about what he said he was going to do, and then he did it. On the campaign trail, he once said there'd be so many bodies dumped in Manila Bay, the fish would grow fat from feeding on them. I mean, does that make the case more clear-cut?
Well, I don't know the evidence.
It's
they know more
gangster.
even than me. So the evidence will be debated in court. So what the ICC will offer Mr. Duterte
Can you imagine going in the booth and being like, they do like the thumbs or whatever, or, imagine getting an I voted sticker. Like, I voted for the guy who said he's going to kill so many people that there's just going to be free fish food in Manila Bay because that's where we're dumping the body. What? Be like, yeah, that's my guy. That's the guy I voted for and then went back to work. What? That's crazy. That's next level. That's like beyond Trump. Because at least Trump lied to you. Trump's like, oh, we're going to do tariffs. We're going to kick out the people who actually grow and pick the food, and somehow that's going to make the food cheaper. Like, at least, like, he gave you a bullshit story. This guy's like, he was like this. He was like, your boy's like, It's more like this. This is like the Duarte campaign. Let's see. Reminds me of this shit. Hold on, bro. This is the Duarte campaign promises.
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
Damn, bro. Duarte, why would you're running for president of the Philippines? Give us your elevator pitch. Like, I'm ready to vote for you. Why should we do this? Like,
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. You got my vote, sir. What the fuck is going on in the Philippines?
I think he did not offer to his victims a fair trial. So all the evidence will be presented before him, and he will have the right to defend himself. That's the process started now.
Richard, in terms of the ICC, he took a very strong line on the ICC. He said he rallied against the ICC during his presidency, and then in 2019 he pulled out of the ICC. How is that, his background with the ICC, how is that being seen in Manila as people look at this arrest?
Again, let me thank our guests for clarifying the circumstances, the legal circumstances of whisking away Duterte. The reason I mentioned that is because I think that is a narrative that supporters of Duterte are trying to push, that, this whole thing is illegal, that the ICC has no jurisdiction, and that's the kind of narrative they're going to keep on harping on. So it's very important for real experts, for objective experts.
Apparently it's not, dog. Apparently, what he's saying, apparently it's legal. The rules. You signed up for, in for a penny, in for a pound. So our boy. The man needs to go away for the max term. He ain't gonna survive 30 years in a Amsterdam prison, but still, he needs to go away. He's one of the bad guys in the world. He barely. He's a human being, barely. He's a human being by attrition, barely. When you can, I don't want peace, I want problems always. I'm gonna fill the Manila Bay with bodies. Nah, bro, you really can't sit with me in a civilized society. You got to go. But again, if this guy is a criminal against humanity, then tell me what the fuck Bibi Netanyahu is.
To clarify the circumstances of this, as far as the ICC and its jurisdiction is concerned, the Philippines was part of the ICC after ratifying the Rome Statute from 2011 to 2018 at least. So all the crimes that were committed during that time are covered by the ICC. And last time I checked, ICC has also issued warrants of arrest against heads of states of countries that are not even member of the ICC.
Okay, let me bring in Luis very quickly on that point of the jurisdiction.
Which, that's a little crazy. You can't be really subject to laws. I know, we live in America, here in America, we're born here, or any other country, you're kind of, that's a libertarian argument. I didn't agree to this, whatever. But literally, the ICC is a club you have to agree to be in. If you're not agreeing, I don't understand how they can, but we'll find out, I guess.
Luis, is there any grey area here that Duterte's lawyers can argue?
But they got Duterte. They got his ass because, that's why he wanted to get out, but his crimes were too close to him getting out of the ICC. And so by the letter and the rule of the law, dog, you signed up for this, now you gotta be subject to this. So that's the reasonable argument, or should I say the logical argument. The emotional argument that also is correct is, hey, dog, fuck you. How about that? Hey, dog, fuck you.
Because he pulled out or not?
No, it was defined by the appeal chamber. The appeal chamber already decided the situation. The Philippines left in 2018. That means it could be investigated until 2019. So before 11 and 19, there is no problem to investigate. Not after. ICC could not investigate when the state is not a party, and the state party can leave. But while they were parties, they could be investigated. And that's the situation in Philippines. Between 2011 and 2019, ICC could investigate Philippine crimes.
Christina, the current
Supreme Court.
Very quickly, Richard.
If I may add, the Philippine Supreme Court has also ruled on this issue. Last time I checked, the Philippine Supreme Court has also said that there's at least residual jurisdiction by the ICC for the years that the Philippines has accession to the Rome Statute. So I think if you look at it from multiple angles, the issue of jurisdiction has been resolved a long time ago. The problem is the
let me bring in Christina now, if I can, Richard.
Let Christina
because the issue of the
talk.
ICC seems controversial even with the current president, President Marcos, and he said in his statement, we didn't help the ICC in any way. The arrest was made in compliance with Interpol. They're trying to avoid the name ICC in the statements from the government, are they not?
Yes, this is a sticky issue, and if you really frame it within the issue of sovereignty, people are touchy when they say that, oh, there is a foreign court that's coming in to try us, that's coming in, and they're white. At one point, Duterte was trying to paint this as an issue of race, even.
No. It only gets worse and worse.
As the vice president, are there going to be problems down the line politically as a result of this in the Philippines?
Well, absolutely. The implications domestically are very clear. As we speak, the Philippine Senate has been dragging its feet on conducting a trial of the potentially, there has been an impeachment of Sara Duterte, the vice president, by the Congress already. So we have been waiting for the Senate to conduct a trial on that. But because many senators are fearing electoral and political backlash from the Duterte base, especially in Mindanao and the Visayan-speaking regions of the country, a lot of the senators have been wishy-washy and been dragging their foot, including the Senate President in the Philippines. So this is important because while I completely agree that the Marcos administration has been all over the place in terms of explaining what on earth is happening here, because I think they're struggling to square the circle, right? You cannot go on and say, you do not accept the jurisdiction of ICC. You cannot go on and say, I don't want war with the Dutertes and I don't want to be involved in this. And the next thing you know, you whisk him away of the country, right? But I think the implicit message here to those senators or anyone who has been doubting Marcos Jr.
Bro, why does she look like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, though? Like, what is that phenotype? She looks like Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Is that he now means business. As you know very well, since last year, the Dutertes have been openly questioning Marcos Jr.'s legitimacy. They have been even threatening him. I mean, no less than the vice president. One of the reasons why she could face conviction and removal is that she threatened to even assassinate President Marcos Jr. So I think Marcos Jr., while conflict avoidant, has realized that the moment of truth has come, and this is an existential crisis. So much will also, could happen in the coming days and months when it comes to the Sara impeachment issue, not to mention other potential criminal cases filed against other members of the Duterte family.
Okay.
The son, Sebastian, is the main...
Let me bring in Luis on this, because I need to look at the international repercussions of this. Is this in any way concerning for the ICC, which is a somewhat troubled organisation right now, I think you'll agree, even if the merits of the case are there, that perhaps it's being used in the Philippines for domestic political reasons?
I don't think the ICC is in trouble. It's in trouble. The world is in trouble. If we ignore the law, the world is in trouble. ICC was very consistent. Investigated Putin, American senators were happy. Investigated President Netanyahu, American senators were unhappy. South Africa was happy. Now investigate Duterte. And Duterte is also now arrested. So I think it's consistent. Political leaders are not consistent, but it's normal. So when you talk about...
He's right. No, he's right. It's a makeup call. It's a makeup call. If I was to explain that to this man in a soccer, a football, not real football terms, I'd be like, yeah, this is a makeup call by the refs. Like, he'd be like, yeah, I get it.
About what's happening now in Philippines. In Philippines will be a big political debate about Duterte, a big political debate about how to control drug dealers, but at The Hague will be a legal debate about the evidence and the law. So there are many debates, and your job as an international commentator will be complicated to show all these dimensions, including the connection between ICC and other cases. But right now, the judges are focused on Duterte, evidence, law. That is ICC. The other political debate will be in the Philippines.
Luis, though, the problem, I think, Duterte, as we know, was sometimes called the Trump of Asia. The problem is the Trump himself, Donald Trump. As you know, from being the first prosecutor of the ICC, the US, perhaps politically, has been the Rome Statute and the ICC's biggest problem since you started the job. How does the ICC continue to operate in these circumstances where, for example, Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel, as we speak, is visiting Hungary, we think the man who's going to be the new Chancellor of Germany, another key supporter in the past of the ICC, says that Netanyahu can now come to Germany?
Now to the lead.
Well, I have many doubts. Because if you remember, South Africa invited President Bashir to go to South Africa for an international conference. But then Bashir had to escape from South Africa because a judge in South Africa ordered his arrest. And exactly the same will happen in Germany with Netanyahu if he goes there. I don't think Netanyahu will go to Germany. Maybe Hungary is different, but not Germany. So that's the world today. We are trying to build a system when the law is respected to protect people in Ukraine, in Gaza, and in Philippines. Those people from Philippines need protection. And for me, the idea is the ICC is...
I like his faith in the international liberal institutions. I think it's quaint. I think it's cute. I like his optimism that we don't live in the law of the jungle and we are a civilized global community. I you know what, buddy? Don't give that up. You keep thinking that and we'll just keep trying to create that world, but it don't exist. But that's the world the world that he's talking about is the world I want to live in too.
It's a piece of the justice effort in Philippines. It's a part of Philippine effort.
Christina, the debates around the world, very quickly, Richard, yeah.
Yeah, may I add something? I think there's another geopolitical dimension here. The Philippines has been at the forefront of leveraging international law to protect its sovereign rights in the South China Sea vis-a-vis China. And one of the arguments we have been making to press the government to come clean on this is this. You cannot go and say we need UNCLOS and international law when it comes to protection of the Philippines' rights vis-a-vis China, and then suddenly when it comes to ICC, I want to opt out of international law. So
okay, thank you, Richard, for that point. I want to bring in Christina
Christina
at the end because we're talking about international law or whatever, and I don't want to forget the victims and the families there in the Philippines. What's been the reaction from your clients?
We don't have to forget them, but good Lord, can we not show them Al Jazeera? I'm trying to keep this Switch channel for a little while.
It's been a mix of emotions. For many, as we've mentioned, this has been a pleasant surprise. For many, it's been a ridiculous gift. And now that the emotions have died down, or at least tempered a little, we're looking at the huge work ahead for conviction. Because while initially we've had a few mothers come forward to file these cases, we're looking at thousands of others joining us during trial. So hopefully we'll be inviting a lot of more people in, and especially that we're looking at other acts. Aside from murder, hopefully more will have their chips in, and that during the elections, we become more aware of what really happened and how we can make people accountable.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all our guests today, Luis Moreno Ocampo, Christina Conti, and Richard Haidarian. If you missed any part of our...
Great video. Let you know what's going on in the world and how it's hypocritical and bullshit. Now that we've eaten our vegetables, folks, I want to get us to a place where we can have a little fun. We're going to have a little fun right now. We're going to watch the Andrew Cuomo humiliation ritual that I've been teasing. Very little commentary needed here. All we need to know is Andrew Cuomo has had to come out because he wants to stay in political power so bad. He's had to come out and call the genocide in Gaza, the Israeli genocide, he had to call it horrendous. And he also is now doing a mosque tour, pretending like he didn't say some of the most Islamophobic-ish over the past year, right? Even longer. I love this. I would love, if I was a New York voter, I would love to tell Andrew Cuomo, look, I would love to vote for you. I would love to do that. But what I'm going to need you to do is I'm going to need you to walk, do a lap through all the boroughs on your knees, bloody stumps, wearing a keffiyeh, saying Viva Viva Palestina and singing Bella Ciao. You can flip-flop between that. And maybe if you do that, if you humiliate and base yourself in that way, I might vote for you as a New York voter. That's what I'd be telling this man right now, because that's the suicide mission. This man has no shame, no pride at all, and I am totally here for his humiliation 24 hours a day. Let's roll the clip.
Latest on the race for New York City mayor, it went from heckling to a blame game yesterday. Andrew Cuomo was shouted down while speaking at a Queens mosque.
Zohran Mamdani denies any involvement in the disruption. Elijah Westbrook joins us live from City Hall this morning with the latest details on this. Good morning, Elijah.
Jump scare. This guy looks way too much like Richie Torres for me. Ooh, jump scare.
Hey there, good morning to you once again, Natalie and Jenna. And this goes without saying, but the New York City mayor's race is certainly heating up. With now less than 2 months into the general election, the political battle is growing.
The candidates have weeks left to prove why they should be New York City mayor. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo was confronted by loud critics inside a Queens mosque at a camp.
Like, I personally, when like Sliwa, the guardian angel guy, is looking like the most reasonable person next to Zohran, like, that's how bad Eric Adams, who's just a terrible creature, corrupt, Democratic creature, and then you've got the current mayor or the sex pest or the guardian angel guy. Like, of course you're voting for Zohran, but like Sliwa looks reasonable compared to those two.
Campaign event Friday as he tried to make his case to Muslim voters. How cameras were rolling when the interaction took place.
You look at the violence we see, the political violence we see.
You represent that,
and you see the division by race.
Cuomo continued on, speaking for a few minutes. Afterwards, he blamed Zohran Mamdani's campaign.
Mamdani has this tactic of sending disruptors because he doesn't want people to hear the...
Brother, I don't think he has to send, with the kind of shit that you've said, I don't think he has to send disruptors to the masjid, bro. I don't think that's a thing that needs to happen. I think that is organically going to happen on its own. When you tell me that I should be in jail, not me personally, I'm not religious, I'm not a Muslim, but you tell me that Muslims are terrorists, they belong in jail, they need to be harassed and watched by the feds, but then you try to come into my house of prayer because you're losing badly and you're pulling out all the stops. People are going to feel some type of way. They're not like you, where you're just a creature with you don't have a lick of even pride in you. You're a sex pest with no pride, no conscience, who will just say anything. You're a sociopath who will literally do and say anything at any time to hold on to a little scrap of power and recognition. People are not, this is 2025, dude. People got you in 4K. This isn't like they have to wait for the week-old newspaper to figure out what your positions are. And you can just go into anywhere and it's a blank slate and you can say anything to the hoi polloi and they're not going to have you in 4K calling for their incarceration and their harassment by the federal government. Go walk off a pier, dude.
Truth. He especially doesn't want Muslims to hear the truth.
The New York State Assemblyman, who is Muslim, said his team did not orchestrate the protest. He wasted no time.
There's no need.
Back.
If it wasn't for the fact that he'd been beaten by a Muslim candidate by 13 points in the Democratic primary, he wouldn't be standing in a mosque.
Mamdani also mentioned Thursday's arraignment of a man charged with making threats against him and his family. Earlier Friday, Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa addressed political violence. Sliwa says he's concerned threats will result in limited access between the public and candidates.
We need to keep free speech alive. What we have to do is stop the violence.
Mamdani has been endorsed by Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart.
Again, if Zohran bumped his head and could not run, like if I was a New Yorker, I'd vote for Sliwa. Honest to God. Maybe that's like maybe Sliwa will come around and not be a racist weirdo and Mamdani will give him a role in the administration. Maybe that's what Sliwa's like positioning here. He's just like, look, if something happens to Zoran, like, I can win this thing. All I got to do is be better than the most corrupt man in the New York, because after Donald Trump left, and a sex pest. I can be the guardian angel man and win. Honest to God, let's pretend there was never a Zoran Mondami, right? Let's pretend Zoran Mondami never. We live in a world where there's no Zoran. Sliwa could win this thing. Sliwa, with a little bit of grooming, a little bit of polish, he would have to recant some of his stuff. Be like, look, I've seen the errors of my ways. We're not going to go around beating up immigrants on the subway. We're not doing that. This is a New York for all. I know I have a past. I know I haven't done things properly, but I'm asking you for your forgiveness, and I'm asking for your vote to make this a livable, affordable city for all New Yorkers, brown, black, Jewish, Muslim, Asian. And frankly, let's be real. I'm better than the corrupt current mayor, and I'm better than a sex pest. Vote Sliwa. He could win that thing. But, hey, whatever, man.
Cousins, Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie, and Governor Hochul, but not State Democratic Party Chief Jay Jacobs.
Who cares?
Mayor Adams applauded Jacobs.
I take my hat off to Jay. It was he stood up.
Why is man wearing a shirt like he's in the Temptations? Like he's in a wedding. He stood up. What do you mean? He stood up for what? Racism? He stood up for New Yorkers starving in the street? No. He stood up against New Yorkers starving in the street. That still sounds weird. He's pro, like, unaffordable New York. He's pro people living in food deserts. He's pro people not being able to commute because they have to spend the wages that they're already being exploited on the MTA. He's pro that. Like, what did he stand up for? Capital? Get out of here with this.
Stood up for what our values are.
Yeah, capital.
Those who do not support our values.
But there
Brother,
is some...
how you gonna take all that money from Turkey and still be bold? If you don't go to Turkey with some of that stolen money that you stole from the people in New York, that bribed money, and get you some hair plugs, dude.
Thing the candidates all agree on, at least for now, the push to ban horse-drawn carriages in the city. Cuomo announced Friday he agreed with Mayor Adams' executive order cracking down on the industry. Mondani and Sliwa both have also supported a ban on horse carriages.
And back out here, looking ahead here, we know that Mondani is set to be endorsed by Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. She represents the state's 9th congressional district. This says Curtis Sliwa is set to make 2 campaign stops today, one on Staten Island and another in the Bronx. We will have details on that on our website. Just head to cbsnewyork.com. We're live right now from City Hall. Elijah Westbrook, CBS.
Cool, let's have some fun. Speaking of, like, we have to give red meat to the base because the actual... we're not going to do anything about the problems in the United States. The Majority Report had a great, because I actually love this. We're having fun. We're having fun right now. I love this. I've been trying to tell the dumbest guy I know at work for the past year, hey, tariffs we don't make anything here. We have to have exploited immigrant labor. This is a country that has had to have people working for either free 99 or as close as we can get to free 99 because capitalism does not work without either slaves or as damn near into the slavery as we can get them. Your treats are only available because of the broken backs of people from countries that we have completely hollowed out because of capitalism. And now we're all going to suffer. Now we're all going to take a hit, and it's finally happening. Majority Report has some fun with it today, so we're going to have some fun too.
Interviewed a guy named Scott Brown. He is an Arkansas farmer talking about how the tariffs, and I'm sure you've seen clips of farmers out there who are talking about how, like, they're looking at their crops and they're going like, I got to mulch it. There's no one to buy it. The tariffs have destroyed the soybean sales for farmers because China has basically said, yeah, we're just going to look elsewhere to buy it.
Well, we've got a real disaster with this tariff deal. I mean, we produce 40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume domestically. 1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire U.S.
Rewind.
ABC.
Go back. I was
Katie
going to rewind that.
Turner
Rewind
is on,
that.
like aisles for farmers to look elsewhere.
country than we can consume.
What? What was that again? Let's hear that again for effect.
Just going to look elsewhere to buy it.
Well, we've got a real disaster with this tariff deal. I mean, we produce 40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume domestically.
Rewind that again for effect.
40%
We're going to hear
more
this.
agricultural products in this country than we can consume. To produce
One last time.
40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume.
So why are people hungry? Why are people hungry? Why isn't the United States government this is important, so we're going to the chat deck. Why isn't the United States government buying this excess food from the farmers and distributing it to people for free? I know the answer. It's capitalism. Capitalism is the answer. Capitalism is the end boss. I have a quote to read you from The Grapes of Wrath from J.D. Steinbeck, but we're going to listen to a little bit more of this, and we're going to learn why they couldn't, why this is so.
Domestically. 1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around $12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before.
All right. So this is from, I said this was going to be fun, but all of a sudden it really got dark, didn't it? Grapes of Wrath. You want to know why we produce more food than we can consume here in the U.S.? And the United States isn't buying that food from the farmers, keeping the farmers afloat, and then also distributing that food for free to Americans. But we've got to send that money to Israel, folks. No. We have to send that money to Israel while people sleep under the bridge and starve. And to quote Steinbeck from The Grapes of Wrath, the works of the roots and the vines of the trees must be destroyed to keep up the price. And this is the saddest, bitterest thing of all. Carloads of oranges dumped on the ground. The people came for miles to take the fruit, but this could not be. How would they buy the oranges at 20 cents a dozen if they could drive out and pick them up? And men with hoses squirt kerosene on the oranges. And they are angry at the crime, angry at the people who have come to take the fruit. 1 million people hungry, needing the fruit, and kerosene sprayed over the golden mounds. And the smell of rot fills the country, figuratively and literally. Burn coffee fuel for the ships. Burn corn to keep warm. It makes a hot fire. Dump potatoes in the rivers and place guards along the banks to keep hungry people from fishing them out. Slaughter the pigs and bury them, and let the putrescence drip down into the earth. Because capitalism is the god that we sacrifice our children and our very essence to, and it must be fed. People don't need to be fed. Capital must be fed to keep this shit show that we call America going. All right, back to some fun. Oof. Let's go back to there.
For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
Zero.
We went from
Freeze, recruit, freeze.
Zero. From 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war. In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa. Since we left with USAID, they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China.
There you go.
You wonder why Lula is willing to say F you to Trump. Like, this has been just a boon to them.
This timing of this whole "we're going to go it alone, America is the world power." Well, we're not that anymore. There's a big.
It's
other
over.
one.
It's the end of the empire.
Partner with it, and maybe that guy can just sell his farm to Trump's friend Bill Gates, who was just in the White House, because Trump's Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, people might want to look him up, is one of Bill Gates' closest friends, and indeed is a billionaire because of a partnership with Bill Gates.
Well, you know who actually is a partner in a fund that is buying up foreclosed farms? J.D. Vance.
Oh, yeah, well, perfect.
Everybody's going to get rich.
Coincidence.
Except for not you. This is a story from Politico. So that's on the tariff
Keeps
end.
the bag indeed.
Pop up, find that story. It is entitled, "The Whole Thing is Screwed Up. Farmers in deep red Pennsylvania struggle to find workers." The whole thing is screwed up, said John Painter, a 3-time Trump voter who runs an organic dairy farm in Westfield. "We need people to do the jobs Americans are too spoiled to do." Is this 3-time Trump voter saying that Americans aren't capable of doing this? That there's a problem with the American character? The U.S. agricultural workforce fell by 155,000, about 7% between March and July. Well, don't worry, folks, because the Medicaid patients are on their way. Pew Research Center data shows that total immigrant labor fell by 750,000 from January to July. Mission accomplished. People don't understand that if we don't get more labor, our cows don't get milked and our crops don't get picked, said Tim Wood, dairy farmer and member of the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau of Directors.
Many of us understood this very clearly, especially liberals understood this. Yes, like this country has to work on slave or damn near slave labor. If you can't acknowledge that, you're not looking around. You think when you go to a restaurant and the food is coming from the back of the house, do you think it's a Star Trek replicator? How do you think it got there? How do you think the produce got to that restaurant onto your plate? These people live in a bubble of bullshit, and they don't think of anybody else but themselves, and they think it's main character syndrome, but it's even somehow worse than that, because a main character even understands that they're supporting characters. Tom Cruise, when he makes a movie, understands that they're supporting actors. These people don't even understand that they are supporting. They think they're the main character, but they think just their essence makes shit shake, and it don't. I don't know how to get through to these chuds. I really don't. All I can do is sit here on a Twitch stream and rip my hair out. And for my own mental health, this does help me, but it's like, how do I get through to my parents? How do I get through to anybody who engages in capitalism but doesn't understand what it took to get a product to a shelf or on your plate? In this current economic condition, there is a better way to do this, obviously. It's called socialism. It's called communism. But we don't want to do that.
What are the chances that the tech billionaires, and the other billionaires, to be fair, who run this administration, sat around and went, we can defund colleges, we can kneecap universities, we can roll back, as they're deciding to do, discretionary funding for colleges with large minority student populations. We can literally turn back the clock in terms of educating our citizenry. Then we're going to have plenty of people who can work in the fields.
There's an answer to that, Sam. There's an answer. So these people who make those kind of choices and those decisions, I'm not talking about the people who vote for them. I'm talking about the people who make those decisions. They think, okay, yeah, things will cost more, but I can absorb those costs. And things will get bad enough for the average person that I'm trying to scam into being in agreement with this, that they will be forced to take up these jobs. And that's the thing. I've heard, Republicans say that, oh, things will get so bad that Americans will have to take these jobs. That's what they're betting on. Really, these people are betting that they can build walls faster than you can climb them. They're not, it's going to hurt them a little bit in the short to medium term, but it's going to hurt you so bad that you, poor white person, now become the new slave economy. That's their bet. And on top of that, the white slave economy, or should I say the naturalized American, slave economy will be intermingled, because they don't want to kick all the immigrants out. They want to kick enough of them out so they don't have any bargaining power. See, what gets dangerous is, that's why whenever there's a factory raid that ICE goes to, they always go after the employees, never the people who hired them. Because the people who hired them, those are the ones committing the real crime, right? I mean, that's just obvious, but they never go after that. So if the employer can say, hey, I'm going to underpay you, treat you like garbage, terrible working conditions, and if you don't like it, not only can you quit, fuck quitting, I'm going to call ICE on you, and nothing's going to happen to me, and you'll be sent to a gulag. That's your choices. That's the America they want. That's the America that is not even what they want. That's the America we have right now, right this minute. This isn't hypothetical. This isn't conspiratorial. This is what we have right now, this minute.
Like, this notion of high-skilled profession, we can't compete anymore. So if we go back to some semi-agrarian lifestyle, farmers often turn to undocumented laborers because of the red tape and high costs associated with the H-2A program, which allows migrant workers to fill jobs in seasonal agricultural industries. They also complain that the H-2A, the nation's largest temporary visa program, is off limits to employers looking to hire year-round operations like dairy farms. Well, the real problem here is that they want to bring in workers who can't organize and protect their rights.
Did not pre-watch this. It's game recognized game. That's all I gotta say. Game recognized game. Sam Cedars, one of my idols. I hope to, hey, it's Lumin. It's Robert Johnson of the Lumin cast, special guest on the Majority Report with, a 70-year-old Sam Cedar. Like, that would be a dream. Game recognized game. This isn't rocket science. We're both smart. I'm smart. He's smart. But we're not Einstein smart. Anybody can come up with this. Anybody can come up with this conclusion if you just look at the obvious conditions of America.
As workers. And they want to bring them in full time. But they also don't want to make it explicit that they're doing this, because the people they voted for 3 times say that all these people are basically here to rape and kill us. I mean, the entire farming industry in this country, and for so long, the Republican Party was like, we got to protect our farmers.
Well, stretch break. I can still hear.
Exactly.
Read.
Well, the family
Enjoy
farm,
the
if
chair.
you have the estate tax, what's going to happen to the family farm? It's just unreal. And, the failure, I want to make it clear, this is all Republicans. But the failure of Democrats to seize this opening is stunning. I understand Chuck Schumer is busy trying to figure out the best way for him to cave on this budget deal. But nevertheless, like the idea that you now have the mainstream media, that you have Politico reporting on a dynamic where Trump voters are getting screwed by Trump in Pennsylvania. Politico. Like how far behind, how much of a like sort of lagging indicator can the Democratic Party be? And I'm talking about the leadership of the Democratic Party. Let's be clear. How much of a lagging indicator can you be? Like, I get we lead from behind. But I mean, how far behind? If Politico is ahead of you in this, you know you've got a problem. Just shocking.
What kind of bull is this?
Yes. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls.
That's crazy, bro. All right, so a little something a little closer to home. I don't feel like doing the Saints right now, but we'll just say that for later. Football season's long. I'm actually from Florida. I'm from Tampa Bay. This is as of a month ago. Apparently, you know, Florida's always been a shithole. Let's be real about it. I have a theory that Florida is like violently tries to reject human beings settling there and just wants to take that whole peninsula and just put it back to nature. It's like human beings are just not supposed to live there at all. But apparently, going back to the beginning of this episode, you know, talking about Disney and, you know, how just the way things just keep getting worse and worse in Florida. Tourism has dropped off a cliff. And some of this is my hometown, and I think it's hilarious.
Cover story and the summer travel slowdown. For weeks, we've been telling you about how major tourist destinations like New York City and Las Vegas are reporting significant drop-offs in visitors. And tourists and businesses here say they're seeing the same thing.
The summer swing never happened for us either. I don't know if it's the hurricane, the economy.
It's Trump. It's Trump. No one wants to come down there and tell people, like, the Florida man meme finally caught up. That's what it is. The Florida man meme, nobody wants to be like, oh, I went to Florida, and you feel like a dummy. It's a little classist. It's a little, I don't know how to say, but it's like, I don't know how, but it's like nobody wants to, like, now it's like, oh, I'm going to Florida, and everybody goes, ew, gross. Like, I have family, like my family there, I feel the same way. It's just like, ew, gross, Florida. And I live in the, I grew up in the good part of Florida, if you can say there's a good part, but like, the liberal neighborhood of Florida. So it's like, this is completely, no, it's not. It's the economy plus like there is such a stank from Trump to Ron DeSantis that nobody wants to be seen or associate with this disgusting place.
A mix of the two, but we've definitely been, everybody around here that I spoke to has been down about 30% this year.
So tonight, we are following through on businesses along Johns Pass Boardwalk who are hoping for a busy summer travel season after they suffered costly repairs following Hurricane Helene. According to Visit Tampa Bay, tourism numbers have been on par with recent years. However, ABC Action News reporter Blake Phillips is listening to those business owners who say that has not been the case for them.
So it is a ghost town.
For many along Johns Pass, business
my neighborhood.
has been falling short.
It's the slowest year we've had since 2020.
Following Hurricane Helene, the damage kept businesses closed in some cases for over 2 months, and then for some, even longer.
And that's why I say we're blessed, because we were closed 10 weeks, but which is a lot, right? And it hurt us a lot, but in comparison to some people, it's not. You know, because some people, like I said, are still not working and they're still out of jobs.
ABC Action News spoke with several different businesses along Johns Pass back along the 4th of July holiday week. And even then, they were hoping for a big summer boost to help cover the lost revenue and repair costs.
But this year, since the hurricane, it's been really bad, so it's really hard to tell.
Now, 1 month later, they tell me that just didn't happen.
Spring break really never happened for us. And then the summer swing never happened for us either. The kids locally just went back to school, I guess, this past week, and now it is just dead.
Honestly, blame your governor. Like, it could survive Trump, but it can't survive DeSantis, because DeSantis is disgusting and he like looks weak. And so it's like, just people just don't want to be associated with that.
And low business is something almost everyone is feeling all along the boardwalk.
I don't know if it's the hurricane, the economy, a mix of the two, but we've definitely been, everybody around here that I spoke to has been down about 30% this year.
Visit Tampa Bay says hotel revenue so far this year is on par with some of the previous year's best. So, possibly a sign of things to come. And there was still some foot traffic like this family down here all the way from New England. Plan on coming back?
I hope so. It's a beautiful area. Yeah. It's great. The water's great. Yeah.
And now with most students in Florida gone back to school, much of the country going to follow suit. That last major travel chance for some of these businesses is Labor Day weekend. After that, it's dead season for them. So over the course of the next few months, they're going to be leaning really heavily on local foot traffic. For now, along Johns Pass, I'm Blake Phillips, ABC.
Pensacola is facing a steep decline.
Oh, God. Pensacola didn't have a prayer, because that is, I can tell you, I lived in Pensacola for a while when I was in the Marine Corps. That is the redneck Riviera. Like, when people think I'm going to Florida, unless you live in like one of the Gulf states like Alabama, Mississippi, maybe even Arkansas, Louisiana, you're not thinking about Pensacola, nor should you. It is the worst. How can I say this? It's the worst caricature of like the worst place you want to be in like Mississippi or Alabama with a really beautiful beach. And that really beautiful beach can only carry you so far until you're just like, what is this disgusting place?
Decline in international visitors this year. In June alone, 18,000 fewer tourists came compared to 2024, leaving
Texas.
beaches
Why are we
and
showing
streets
Texas?
noticeably quieter. The drop is part of a broader slowdown in U.S.
That is not
travel
Pensacola.
trends, raising concerns for the local economy built.
This is AI. We're moving on.
Pensacola is
Well, first up at 10, fewer and fewer international travelers are booking trips to the U.S.
Oh.
The number of foreign travelers are booking trips to the U.S.
So that pink hotel, let me give you a little lore on that. That is the Don Cesar. It's one of the most beautiful hotels like in the country. I've stayed there a couple times. Who used to stay there? Marilyn Monroe, Mickey Mantle. Anybody who's anybody has stayed there, of course, because I stayed there. You know, anybody who's anybody, I'm definitely. But no, it's real nice. But yeah, it's real expensive.
Fewer international travelers are booking trips to the U.S. The number of foreign visitors continues to slump. Travel research firm Tourism Economics is predicting now that the U.S. will see 8% fewer international travelers. And industry experts cite some unpopular policies from the Trump administration and an expense as a few reasons for the decline. But how does Florida fare? Well, Fox 13's Genevieve Curtis joins us live from Tampa tonight with a look at the local impact, especially. Jen, what'd you find out?
Yeah, Mark, the impact really depends on who you talk to. There has no doubt been a drop in some international travelers coming to our area, but tourism officials in Pinellas County aren't ready to sound the alarm bells just yet.
It is because of the political climate, of course. We from Sweden, we're not so fond of the guy in charge, so to speak. So,
Why did you come here? You could have went. Why did you go there? You could have went anywhere. Go to Bali. Don't spend your money here. Gross. I feel, no, lady. Like what?
A lot of people goes to different places instead of going to the States.
More international travelers are skipping an American passport stamp and taking their money elsewhere. The World Travel and Tourism Council projects the U.S. will lose $12.5 billion this year, a departure cities like Las Vegas are already feeling. But are Florida's beaches still a hot destination?
Maybe it's because we're down, it's why we're awake.
At a Pinellas County Tourism Board meeting 2 weeks ago, data showed the decline in Canadian and European tourists. Hotels in the area saw 40% fewer Canadian visitors, correlating to a 35% revenue loss compared to last year. British, Swiss, and German tourists are also giving the area a pass, mirroring numbers seen across the country. But for a county coming back from 2 hurricanes, Clearwater Mayor Bruce Rector says those numbers don't tell the story for every destination.
Yes, we're down as a whole in the county. Our tourism, our beach, we are as attractive to tourists as ever.
A spokesperson.
Which makes sense, to be honest, because like Pinellas County has my hometown of St. Petersburg, And St. Petersburg is like one of the gayest places in the country. So it's like a lot of people are still going to go there because it's kind of I don't want to say a blue dot in a red state, but it's just like a oasis of culture and just people who are just not disgusting in that state. So yeah, I could see Pinellas County could be doing okay.
For Visit St. Pete, Clearwater said it would be premature to comment on summer numbers, but noted international travelers make up less than 10% of overall travel, and those who did land here stayed longer. With TPA adding direct flights to Mexico City and Colombia, the area is also expanding its global reach. And that has translated to success for some local businesses unaffected by the change.
We've had an amazing year so far. We had the best June we've ever had.
And just for a statewide perspective, Visit Florida numbers show 100,000 fewer Canadians have visited this state so far this year.
Yeah, Canadians aren't. They're not here for this at all.
And sunshine, beaches, Disney.
This is the real Florida, y'all. No joke.
Trapped in your house for half the year. I have nothing to do here. So what can the back porch?
Was really thinking about moving to Florida, especially if you have young kids.
Florida is a lot like California to where like LA, it's like where dreams go to die. Like everybody thinks they're going to come and live off of sunshine, and it's not. It's a terrible job market, terrible climate. It's super expensive to live there. I wanted to get out of there. I grew up there. I was born there. I wanted to get out of there as soon as humanly possible when I turned 18.
Don't do it. Don't ever bring your kids over here. That is child abuse. Now, first of all, not only do we have the worst school system ever, the Republicans are actively trying to defund
100%.
public school, and they're giving that money to charter school in which they don't have certified teachers. That is why we are dropping in SAT scores.
If you're currently considering moving to Florida, there are two things that you should know. One, I just spent over $100 at the grocery store just buying some things for dinner, a glass of wine, and a thing of coffee creamer. Two, it is 5 p.m. and it is currently 101 degrees outside, which is actually nicer than it has been the last few days where it was 103 to 105. Plus, there's not as much humidity today. So that's what it's like in Florida. Choose wisely.
Florida used to be the go-to
That's the real
destination,
Florida. No
sunshine, beaches, Disney, nightlife. So the state sold itself, okay? Back in the day, everybody used to love going to Florida, but fast forward to today, something has changed. Tourism is down, locals are struggling, and the so-called Florida dream is fading very fast.
Imagine being a nurse in Florida and having to ask for permission to quit. That's where we are now. See, Florida's Choice Act just didn't sneak in. It slid through without DeSantis even signing it. It's one of the most extreme non-compete laws in the country. We're talking 4 years where certain workers, especially high earners, can't leave to work for a competitor. That includes a whole bunch of healthcare workers, tech folk, finance, and even executive level folks at nonprofit. And if your job decides to sue you, you can't even work somewhere else while the case is in court. So you're stuck with no income, just waiting. So y'all, we gotta call it what it is.
What are we talking about? Modern day slavery? We talking about how this country runs on slavery? This is what I'm talking about right here.
It's a trap. This ain't about protecting opportunity. This is about rich donors like Ken Griffin helping to write laws to keep you stuck in a place while they continue to make money. See, Florida keeps selling out working people to corporations. First it was housing, then it was education. Now it's your freedom to leave a job. And folks wonder why healthcare workers and teachers are leaving red states.
Damn.
So if you ever wanted to know what economic control looks like, it looks just like this.
Okay, let's start with salaries. Florida's economy is an economy that runs on tourism and service jobs. So think hotels, restaurants, theme parks, and stuff like that. But these jobs pay some of the lowest wages in the country. The median salary here is far below what it takes to cover rent, groceries, and healthcare. So while millions visit Florida expecting a cheap vacation, workers are barely scraping by. And when locals struggle, the tourist experience suffers too. Long wait times, worker shortages, and businesses shutting down.
Florida is no joke. It is not for the weak.
100%. Did you know that the 2 largest homeless camps in Florida are in Pasco County? I don't know why they keep telling you Northerners to move here because it is a shithole. They got one camp by McDonald's on 19 and 52 that is so large that it's spilled out into the outside. It's the only one that you can see from the road. You can actually see people sleeping in the road because there's so many people in the woods.
Damn.
Florida is not a homeless-friendly state. They don't care about them, and they don't have any help programs for them or anything like that. And since the pandemic, it's got worse because there wasn't any infrastructure or support to begin with. When they raised the rent 60 to 80% but kept the pay ridiculously low, no one can afford it, and who knows how many people are actually in there. There's probably thousands. And it's like crazy because everyone just ignores the problem. They just go on with their lives like nothing is happening. I would love to be able to go in there and, feed them one day, bring them, they don't really need blankets, but maybe some flip-flops or something so that they could walk around. But I can't even afford to feed myself. So there was so many people on that video that were commenting like, it's such a great place to live. I've been here for 6 months and I've never been happier. It's because you haven't seen what Florida's really like yet.
Listen, I know this isn't going to sit well with everyone, but if you don't need to, please do not travel to Florida. Not for a quick getaway, not for a girls trip, not for the Disney vibes, nothing. The state of Florida just built that alligator concentration camp, and the city of Miami illegally canceled their November election, giving their mayor and their city commissioners an additional term in office without the voters. Let that sink in. Elections canceled. Detention centers funded. This is authoritarianism in action. And the worst part is happening in broad daylight to one of the most visited states in the country. Florida brings in over $131 billion a year, and probably even more, because that was the numbers for 2023. And the majority of that money comes from domestic travelers. Yes, some of the most deeply marginalized groups live in Florida. Immigrants, Black folks, queer folk. And here's what else is true. If people don't take drastic, intentional actions, this becomes our new normal. I've worked in the travel industry for a long time, and tourism is big business. But consider every dollar spent is a vote. And right now, the state of Florida is counting on us to continuously show up, even as they strip away rights.
And then we have the job market. So Florida's job market isn't offering up anything, actually. Anything in terms of...
But y'all get it. That's crazy. All right. It's almost 4 hours. I want to thank everybody who lurked. I want to thank everybody who chilled out. Thank you so much. It's been real. I'll see you tomorrow night on this space, and then we'll do some gaming after because I'm going to be burnt out after being on this space. But thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great night and take care. Dr. Gamester, you're the man. Thanks for hanging out. How do I even end this damn thing? Because I'm tired. Oh, I got to hit stop. Okay, bye.